We are live, alien scientists, going to do a deep dive on some really cool subjects tonight. Everyone's interested in this database and what we're doing with the database. So I'm bringing the database guy on, or one of our database guys. We're trying to figure out a bunch of different stuff. Right now we're just compiling files for the database and then making backup copies and have a small distribution network so that we can basically retain copies of this information and the information that we're getting, and then comes the process of where we dig through it all and we find all the goodies. And as we start finding more of these goodies, in the digging the gems out of the mud for you, we'll be doing more of these updates, and we keep adding more and more content to the database too as we get a hold of more people. They see what kind of stuff we're covering. They see, oh, you got this, but you got this. And just want to make sure my volume's coming through clearly. Can you guys hear me all right? Hello, check 1 2. Low sound. Sounds like the gain is high. Okay. Need to switch audio input source. Why am I having audio? We just spent like 2 hours getting this all set up, dude. So dumb. In any case, you guys can hear me all right. We're gonna do a deep dive on the database tonight and really get into. Well, let's pick a topic and just dig and go there, and then we'll go on and we'll ask a bunch of questions and try to get to because we were just talking about this Leak Marabou stuff. So I had posted a video. I had posted a couple of the videos from Leak Marabou stuff on my channel just to people can join the Discord server right here. Let me just copy the link to the Discord server so that we can invite people there as well as the people from the live chat.
Capturing the audio from here.
Oh, is that what's going on here? So, properties. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. How's that now for the audio? Let's check if that microphone's better. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, I went and switched all my settings back to default in this so that we could get sound coming through on the video feeds, which wasn't coming through on the videos, and that must have been the problem. Great, it's always something. It's guaranteed in any stream. You just fast forward it to, what is it now? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Fast forward to 3 minutes. I set up a Proton Mail account, guys. Email me at thealienscientist@protonmail.com. A couple people were saying that, oh, why do you have Gmail? I want you to use Proton Mail because it's more secure. And so I created a Proton Mail account. So people want to email me some stuff and be kept off the record, they can. Anyone, what I'd like to do is find the right researchers, the guys that like Bernard Haisch that worked as a subcontractor, Caltech physicist that worked as a subcontractor for Lockheed Martin doing, classified physics research during starting back in the 90s with Hal Puthoff. People know about guys like Hal Puthoff, but you got to look for their colleagues and the people. They didn't just come up with these ideas by themselves, and they're not just lone wolves. A lot of times, there's usually a lot of people in academic circles that are working on these ideas sort of simultaneously. And they emerge, it'll take one person to kind of push the idea forward and emerge or take a lot of the interest from the public into this stuff. And then, of course, it's used like a cold fusion type thing where they took Hal's connection with our remote viewing and made him out to look like a fool on his Wikipedia page or a pseudoscientist so that they could, discredit a lot of this other stuff. But yeah, Lockheed Martin was interested in it, and these theories of gravitation electromagnetic basis for inertia and gravitation and implications for 21st century physics and technology. This stuff kind of led me into a world of I've always been interested in classified physics research since I read Richard Feynman's book Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, which kind of got me into the Manhattan Project, and researching classified scientific research and programs involved related to that kind of stuff. So this is what I've always been interested in, and the internet is a great resource. It's really breaking down all the walls of secrecy and allowing us full purge access to information that we never had before, or that was harder to keep compartmentalized and classified. Now it's much easier to. And I gotta find out with these guys about how to. I registered and logged in with this library. Apparently, you're able to block your back up your YouTube videos and stuff using this library website right here. But I haven't figured out how to get it. I signed up and they haven't sent me an email yet, so I don't know what's going on. I got to get a hold of those people and get that set up, because apparently it's a way to back up all your YouTube videos and also monetize them and make money with them and make money off of them. Again, let's go back to the database, and I got Sean over here, and Sean's going to be talking about Leak Mirabeau. I talked about these. These are particularly interesting because this is where ufology, I think, is at right now with this stuff. Back in the 90s, there was a show called Future Fantastic, which was an X-Files spinoff with Gillian Anderson, and in it, I actually found this because I searched for Leak Mirabeau on IMDb, and I found this. Found that he was in these old television specials that are gone. They've been wiped, and you can't. People have posted the episodes, and then they're taken down. They're completely wiped. So they've kind of erased this. They've taken our future from us and erased these, invisibility cloaks, real Terminators. There was a show called That's Impossible that was on the History Channel back in 2009, and it was going to cover all these really cool, like, crazy technologies and stuff. And then they pulled it. So they like to keep people dumb, and they like to keep this stuff out of the. They like to keep as much disinformation and misinformation and malinformation in the main. And the main public psyche, and in the main mainstream. That seems to be the best tactic for counterintelligence, is to put as much nonsense out there and take the real good stuff like this and pull it down, file copyrights, and to have it removed from the internet indefinitely and erase the history while changing the history by allowing stuff like Corey Goode and secret space program nonsense to proliferate, and the other kinds of conspiracy theories and stuff that's allowed to proliferate on the internet, while good information is banned and censored heavily. In any case, that being said, they talked about these Leak Mirabeau craft, these laser impulse things, and then we were talking about why everyone in the comments on those videos. If you go to my YouTube channel and you go to Alien Scientist and you go to my videos, you'll see that I had a couple videos on Leak Mirabeau right here. Rocket ships, laser-propelled light craft 1 week ago, and this 1992 presentation. I think there's a newer presentation by Leak Mirabeau and stuff, but apparently this thing got picked up by some kind of research and got classified and turned into a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, I know that the Navy gives him the lasers to do in his test run that was done on October 2000. In October of, I think, 2000. No, wait. When did they exactly do that test run? I think it was maybe October of 2000, and then they said they were going to do this, and then this stuff like disappeared, and then we come to find out that they're publishing this stuff, and everyone's in the comments saying like, oh, what, how come they have to get rid of the ability to have to do it from the ground, because what do you beam something to the moon and then be like, well, how do we get it back now? Oh, well, I don't know. Do we have to build a laser on the moon now to send it back? So the idea was to put the laser on board the craft so that you could move it around wherever you use the laser. And yes, indeed, it came out, in 2020 in September in this article by Brett Tingley on the Drive, the War Zone, that yes, they're using microwave energy to blast the air in front of these vehicles to create hypersonic speeds and to create these types of these hypersonic vehicles, and now yes, they're able to put this on board the craft itself, and this might be even further applicable to opening up causing supercavitation and really just affecting the space-time molecules around the craft. So there's a big debate on whether this works in a vacuum or not, and how to get it that they can actually get it to work in a vacuum, and that it is a almost literally a form of warp drive. And of course we have where's the sorry, I have a paper on this if I could find it. Maybe I closed it. Yeah, let me find this. It was I had a paper on from you want to right here it is. So here's the paper right here. I'm going to copy this, post it in the chat. Everyone knows Eric Davis, and everyone's talking about those Wilson leaks and this recovered off-world vehicles and stuff. And that's like a huge distraction, because like this kind of stuff's the real meat and potatoes. And here he lays it all out with generating negative energy, schemes for generating negative energy. And he talks about squeezed ZPF vacuum, and how these squeeze states and these polariton condensates, the stuff that I've been talking about, is the way to create squeezed vacuum, these bursts of light, intense bursts of light with these lasers in these surfaces, these smart skin surfaces that are able to trap the light. You can then, burst the light inside these surfaces that create these exciton polariton pairs, and through xenic surface waves or surface plasmon polaritons, you can basically propagate these things and get massive energies built up on the surfaces of the craft, and use that to open up wormholes and basically creating this negative mass out of quantum squeezed vacuum states, rather than needing a whole bunch of antimatter. You just kind of coat the craft in antimatter that you can create on demand. And this is like the light craft stuff to a whole mega new ultra level. This is I believe is the more classified stuff that was going on, because as we traced back some of the key people from the research that Battelle did Battelle was highly connected to the Roswell material, as I've been digging into lately. If there was Roswell material, it was sent to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and it was analyzed by metallurgists. That we found the progress reports from that they were, there's one progress report. The second progress report we have, they were taking pieces of this unknown titanium alloy, and they were dissolving it in chlorine and then measuring the off gases to kind of determine its composition. And there was a lot of references in a lot of these other subsequent studies, including the studies that led to the, creation of nitinol 10 years later at the U.S. Naval Labs, to this first progress report, which is missing from Battelle, that this Battelle scientist, Elroy John Senner, worked on. Senner told his daughter that he used to talk about UFOs every once in a while, and was kind of interested in that because he had studied that when he was at Battelle, that he had been given some material as a metallurgist post 1947 that was unlike anything that he'd ever seen before. It was this memory foil that was really you couldn't cut or tear it or puncture it. He said that they had brought it down to I had heard other stories that he didn't say this, but I heard other stories that they'd brought this material down to the U.S. Navy labs, that this Captain Robert McLaughlin, had brought it to the White Sands Proving Ground and got a piece of this material, brought it to their machine lab, which had basically done all the machining for the atomic bomb project and had the best, carbide tip drill bits and puncturing and perforation equipment. He couldn't punch a hole or drill a hole in this material. The drill bit would just heat up and it would just spin around, and it would melt the drill bit before it could puncture this material. And it was paper. It was like paper thin, and they could crinkle it up into a ball, and it would immediately unfold itself again. And they couldn't puncture it or pop it, which has led a lot of people to say, well, it's just this indestructible material. How did it break? How did it break in the first? How did this UFO crash and break in the first place? I was like, well, it's not indestructible. It just requires more than our regular machines to kind of break it. It could have broken apart with itself if it smashed hard enough. You have a really, these things are going these incredible speeds. If it suddenly loses its propulsion system and smashes into the side of Sunset Peak, like it allegedly did in the Roswell case, it could very well smash the thing apart, just from the impact of itself. But another thing that's interesting is that John von Neumann had talked about self-replicating automata, and he published a paper on it right after Roswell. And he was allegedly, he's one of the scientists we identified. Had classified security clearances from the Manhattan Project, worked at Los Alamos nearby in '47, and would have been one of the scientists, that we've identified as a potential suspect who could have been brought there to, kind of investigate the Roswell crash and look at it. Very interesting that he wrote this paper on self-replicating automata, and that he devised these von Neumann machines, which were self-replicating space probes that could be sent out, and they would, make copies of themselves. And they were like the basis of like Type 3 civilization. But anyway, these guys were involved, and one of the guys we traced back through his FBI file, working for Battelle and being one of their top scientists and consultants on metallurgy and just scientific matters in general, was this guy named John Archibald Wheeler, who was like a godfather of physics. He was Feynman's PhD advisor at Princeton. And you want to talk about Elizondo getting hired into the secret space program, hired as the director of ATIP by a theoretical physicist who sat in an office behind a desk, who was just this guy who was involved in all this stuff. John Wheeler was definitely one of those guys. He was one of those physicists that was just top of the field, Nobel Prize, all the way, just, worked with Einstein. He had the security clearances, the metallurgy background, and the knowledge. And it's very interesting that he worked on that project. And then we recently found a paper. Show us the paper. You still there, Sean?
Yeah. What's up?
Let's get that paper. You found the paper with squeeze states, because I remember I told you
right.
I started.
Yeah.
I was telling you to look for squeeze state stuff, because this is what Eric Davis is talking about in his warp drive papers. This is what other guys like Jack Sarfati have been screaming about, trying to like get people's attention to look at for a number of years now, and it's related to that microwave research. It's kind of like an advanced form of that mirror boost stuff, really. It's a way to keep the fields trapped to the surface of the craft. It's the near field versus far field stuff, because these terahertz waves are really near field, versus these megahertz. When you get in the megahertz range and kilohertz range, that's radio waves. Those are great for far field waves, right?
Yeah.
That's how we talk. That's how radio works.
There it is.
So I was telling Sean, these are the key things we need to look for when we're doing database research. And what does he find? Gold. Strikes gold. It's all you need to know is start learning the terms, and then some of the other terms that they use, because they switch terms on you sometimes, and they start calling it by a different name.
Yeah, this is like this is a squeeze state physics paper. Yeah, it's pretty much you know a lot more than I do about this stuff.
Yep, he mentions the Ulam. So he mentions the Ulam stuff, which is Ulam is another key physicist in all this that people should look up. He created the Ulam spiral. That's a prime. He mapped out the prime numbers and noticed that it kind of creates this thing that it almost looks like a spiral. It's like a weird pattern, and this is actually a map of all the prime numbers, and it creates this thing called the Ulam spiral. So he's like another human calculator kind of guy. Did a lot of stuff with again the self-replicating automata stuff that led to the Game of Life. That guy, I forget the whole, who's the guy that did the Game of Life? John Conway. John Conway was highly inspired by Ulam and John von Neumann and a lot of these other mathematician guys that started figuring a lot of this stuff out. This is key sacred geometry. If you want to really get into sacred geometry and math, this is like core math. It's really great stuff. But anyways, Ulam also did Ulam radiation. So Stanislaw Ulam is the guy, Polish-American scientist, nuclear physicist, Manhattan Project, thermonuclear weapons designer. What was I going to say about Ulam? He did something else. So he was also known for Ulam. Oh, no, not is it Ulam? No, sorry, Unruh radiation. So there's another physicist, Ulam, and then there's Unruh. So Unruh radiation is another key thing. Didn't I see that in the thing? Was it Unruh or Ulam? Let me see that again.
What are you looking for? That
I gotta
paper
read
again?
that paper again. Yeah,
All right, sure.
let's bring that up. This is key
There it is.
stuff. All right. Yeah, so this is very interesting. Scroll down a little bit here.
Sure.
Ulam, yeah. Well, that's interesting. So he's talking about thermonuclear combustion and stuff in here. Yeah, double slit. So yeah, Wheeler was super interested in this light, this magic tricks of light, and how light could be manipulated and used. There's a whole thing called the quantum eraser. Let's watch a video on that. How the quantum eraser rewrites the past. It's called the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. I don't know if we should play a whole video on it. They're like 11 or 10 minutes. But this one will probably be the best. These guys are really good. Let's watch PBS Space Time. No, I don't know if we can do that. If I'm allowed to like just watch one of their videos on my stream. They got 2 million subscribers. But anyways, I'll talk about it a little more. This quantum eraser stuff and this light stuff, I think, is key to opening up a wormhole and closing it and finding ourselves on the other side, if that sort of thing is possible. And it's certainly something we should be looking at. So we were talking about the tokamak reactors and some of the early research with some of these guys too, because we've been digging into all, you find these real scientists like Wheeler, and then you find the people that he worked with, like DeWitt. He wrote the Wheeler-DeWitt equation with this other scientist named Cecil DeWitt. Oh, no, Cecile was his wife. Sorry, so she was Cecile DeWitt was his wife, and his name was Bryce DeWitt. And I'm not sure how much of his work his wife did and how much he did. She might have been the real brains of the operation. Sometimes that happens. And the wife can't publish because of, it's like a man's field. So they have to publish through their husband. But I know that she was a brilliant physicist and a professor at this University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, for a number of years. They did, but they were consultants to the government and to other agencies for gravitational research. And he was kind of like the grandfather of quantum gravity and a lot of these original, foundational theories trying to unify general relativity with quantum mechanics. The early days, when Einstein was still alive and working on this stuff. So these guys kind of were foundational with a lot of that stuff and really had, I don't know, they had foundational access to a lot of these theories and a lot of this stuff before, string theory and a lot of these other paths kind of took over and overly confused things, I feel, in some ways. But in any case, we were back to these Cecil DeWitt was doing interesting research on. I found a paper from him on what is it? Gravitational fields. Here it is, right here. So I found a paper from Bryce DeWitt, and published in Physics Review Letters, 1902, published the 13th of June, 1966, on superconductors and gravitational drag. That sounds an awful lot like, Podkletnov experiment, but this is 1966. Podkletnov was like 1990s, bro. So what's the grandfather of quantum gravity writing papers on spinning superconductors and gravitational drag? back in 30 years before this stuff. Kind of interesting. Kind of like you never hear about it. And then I get those pictures of Cecil of Dewitt and his wife with Townsend Brown. Remember did I send you those?
No, I don't think. Maybe I did. Yeah, you did send me those. Let's see, they're back here.
Let me see if I can find those and bring those up here.
Yeah.
So a guy named Bogdam on Facebook. Let me find his name so I can give him credit for giving me these pictures, because I don't want to, I always like to credit my sources, man. So this guy is a researcher, and his name is Bogdan Gergi. Bogddan Gherghe, and he gave me these pictures of Thomas Townsend Brown, and so very cool stuff. These pictures, I had to zoom in. I'm sure he's got originals of these that are much better quality, and we're gonna try and get a hold of them and find out where they're from and where the originals are. But there's that picture, that craft design with the, you've seen like other drawings of this. You know what I mean? I know you've seen, if you can see my screen, it's on the live stream, but I know we've seen other drawings of this type of craft with this like shell with these air currents kind of coming up underneath and depositing lift or force on the surface of the underneath of that dome shell kind of thing. But that's interesting. You have, where's the pictures of Cecil and his wife here? They're drinking and celebrating something afterwards. But there's Cecil Dewitt, and there's Bryce right here, I believe, and with Thomas Townsend Brown. So
I have the video for that on the drive. I think that might be the video that they're all in.
And the Men in Black dude, right? They got the Men in Black.
Yeah, there's that Men in Black dude. I found the picture for him.
I don't know who that. Well, I'd love to identify these people and get more information on that meeting. And
he's right there. I got him on my screen there. It's poor quality, but
it's very interesting that these guys were working on this kind of in a classified, underground capacity at these labs for a number of years. Very interesting. Quantum gravity researchers are interested in exploring that a little bit more, because there were a lot of interesting claims made by Thomas Townsend Brown over the years of discovering coupling effects between electricity and gravity, and we're doing more patent dive. Why don't you dig in and show us some more of that stuff, because he's got this rotating superconductor stuff, and that was wasn't that right around the time that the Tokamak drive, right? The Tokamak fusion reactor.
Tokamak, it's
Tokamak. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Space Technologies. Okay, so this guy right here, this is part of the tokamak containment system that's used in almost every tokamak patent. But shortly after this, he was working for the nuclear, I believe it's, United States Atomic Energy Commission. He worked for them in 1957, and then he has another patent. I don't know if this one's his as well. No, that's not his. Right here is here's another one of his patents here, but this one's Klystron, and it's if you utilize the tokamak coils on it, it would create like a gravitational wave effect if you utilize it properly.
Wait, say that again. So how so if this is kind of like a step off from...
It's like, that one guy in APAC, he had a little system like this that he was trying to propose, that he could make a gravitational wave creator,
right,
for the use of propulsion. And I believe this is what it is right here. I believe that they were creating this, and there's a whole bunch of other patents that build into it.
So that's this on APAC right here with Me and my messed up hair. Should I put a hat on or something?
Let me let you go first, sir.
So this was Gary Stevenson, and probably to forward to. Is this him? I don't think this is the one. This is weird.
I think it was at the very beginning.
That was the Q&A. All right, so that was the
Yeah.
Q&A afterwards. So this is the actual video itself. And gravitational publication timeline. So he has a good timeline here that he goes over too, of talking about gravitational waves and LIGO. Interesting. A lot of the guys who work, Kip Thorne, a lot of the guys that developed LIGO and the whole theory behind that were a lot of the predecessors and guys that studied under some of these other physicists that we've talked about, which is interesting. But yeah, in this video right here, he goes into let's find the spot in this video. So right here, yeah. Right around 14 minutes or so, he starts talking about these quadrupole plasma oscillations that can be used to create high-frequency gravitational waves. And it's super interesting that, it's just, it's almost this tokamak generator, but it just has an extra piece that's added to it. So if you just take out that piece, it's no longer this thing, it's just a tokamak. But if you add that piece in, suddenly it becomes this high method for a quadrupole plasma oscillations for a high frequency gravitational wave generator. It's basically like a klystron for gravity waves.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what these guys are creating. And by the way, the company that this is called Space Technology Labs Incorporated. If you punch that into like a Google patent search, you'll actually get a lot of their patents, and I don't even have some of their patents on here, so I have to actually collect more. But this is part of it too. The gas confining apparatus, I believe this is also added to that design.
Yeah, keep telling us about that.
Yeah, because right here it's squeezing it, right, and it's what you have to, like, what they're trying to do is they're trying to pressurize it and at extreme velocity around the tokamak, as well as like they're trying to create high pressure rotating plasma in a sense. And I believe that you would put like in a sense where they were using it for like Edgar Fouché's type of magnetohydrodynamic reactor, they used mercury in it, and I think like maybe that was like where they were going with this. I don't really know. It can't really tell, or this could have just been raw plasma and the attempt to do it with just raw plasma. And it's deuterium plasma as well.
Deuterium plasma.
Yeah, that's what they were
heavy
using.
Water.
I believe. Yeah, heavy water. I believe I was
for
reading
the
that was
nuclear
it.
spins, because I knew they were studying nuclear spin stuff, right? I knew that part of this was studying actual the effects of nuclear spins, because nuclear magnetic resonance and that kind of science was still relatively new in mid 1960s.
Yeah,
They knew that isotopes and spin might have something to do with how this technology worked, because they analyzed, these skins, and they found these weird isotopes, deposited at certain key layers. I believe that this was directly related to that. A guy named Edward Mills Purcell, you've heard of him, right?
I think so.
So Edward Mills Purcell headed the CIA's Project Rainbow, and he's the guy that won the Nobel Prize for NMR, for nuclear magnetic resonance. And nuclear magnetic resonance is basically this. They discovered that atoms have spins. They have different, they spin at different resonance at different speeds, and they resonate and vibrate differently and react to electromagnetic fields in a lot of different ways. That headed Project Rainbow for the CIA. He was basically he was the senior staff physicist out at Area 51. He spearheaded the EG&G's entire project on invisibility and studying radar systems. Their job is to basically build copies of the Soviet radar arrays and then figure out how to make their planes invisible to them. Starting with their study of the flying wing aircraft, right? So the flying wing, they thought that the Germans had all the stealth technology. They were a little bit more advanced with their stealth technology, right? Because of the Horton brothers had created a flying wing. So the Horton brothers, when they created this flying wing aircraft, it kind of like the radar invisibility and the stealth abilities of it was actually just like a byproduct. It wasn't actually an intentional part of the design. It was just like, oh my God, we got rid of the tail section and the rear rudders, and that whole assembly was what was causing our radar returns. That was what the radar was bouncing off of. That's how because you've got to think, you got your radar and you got to figure out how to get your radar to work. Well, your radar depends on this one equation, and you see the Project Rainbow patches for Area 51 that have this equation on it. There's a Project Rainbow Area 51 patch. What's the project? I don't think it was called Project Rainbow, but Special Project Squadron, this one. And it's got there's one of them that has the equation right on the patch, and it's the equation for the cross-sectional radar signature of an airplane, of an object. And that they found out that the Horton Flying Wing had a minimized one, and that's why it was so good at being stealth, just because the nature of that design. So, anyways, what was my point with all this? That back to Edward Mills Purcell, he was the guy studying. He headed this whole project for the U.S. Navy. Basically, headed for the EG&G and for. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, trying to think of where my thoughts are going, and I'm stumbling over them, and I want to be precise on this because this is important stuff, and I'm talking too fast, and I'm losing track of my links because I got a million tabs open in my brain and a million tabs open on my screen too. So I'm gonna close some of this stuff. Tokamaks. Let's get back to that tokamak design, and they were spinning this stuff, trying to line spin states, and then you just take out a couple of these components and you change them around. One of the guys that was doing this, you ever heard of? He was a guy working for General Electric. Okay, General Electric, and his name was Henry William Wallace.
Yeah, I got his patents.
You got his patents, right? The method for, in general, so he's got some interesting patents and some interesting designs as well. And I think this stuff combined with the tokamak
wrong folder,
is going to yield some interesting, I know that they did experiments with this stuff. They had to have built, these things. Ed Fouché talked about that, Mercury engine. And ever since that's why I did the videos on that years ago. And that's been like what's gotten a lot of people interested. And those videos are still shared around and spread around as if it's a real craft. And the more I learn about, there was real experiments into this, but I'm not sure if there was any actual craft built or the success of these things. Of course, how would we know? This is one of the biggest mysteries. There's got a lot of people interested in that stuff and maybe thinking about wanting to try to build a experiment. They're like, why haven't you experimented with rotating mercury yet? I get that a lot, people, say,
mercury's dangerous.
Mainly because it's toxic, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
in order to experiment with mercury, guys, we'd have to build a whole nother, I'd have to build a whole box to do the experiments in, a whole separate container, and that would take up a lot of room and need its own area and a box to do this. And I've been wanting to do this experiment for a long time. I've been talking to people about doing it and setting it up and actually building this, Okay, we're gonna get back to these questions because I said I was gonna ask some questions, and then I didn't.
Yep.
Apparently, I'm getting some slack. So hey, I don't see. Has anything to do with gyroscopes attached to satellites? No.
No.
Those are stabilization, and if it kind of maybe if you look up a very sensitive gyroscope project that NASA did called Gravity Probe B, you can look up something that it has to do with gyroscopes and satellites. Yeah, so Gravity Probe B, NASA's Gravity Probe B. Let me bring that up real quick. They basically built these super precision gyroscopes of these super spherical spheres, and they get these things spinning, and then they measure their precession and these fields as they go around behind the Earth, to see if there was any frame dragging effect from the Earth going through space as a result of gravitomagnetism. And they didn't publish these results for a while, but yes, it turned out that there was. And this ain't the first research that they've done into gravitomagnetism and gravitomagnetic effects. As we said, that goes back to all that other stuff we talked about. But yeah, yes. So let me think. Yeah, yes, I've heard of orgone energy devices. I don't know about orgone. What do you think about orgone, Jeremiah? I know Jeremiah's not even here.
Yeah, no, you got to call him.
Maybe you can send us some orgone. We'll do some experiments with it, man. That'd be kind of cool. You read it fine. I guess they just don't need any help from anyone. Blah, 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 blah. I guess AS just ignores me every time. Oh yeah, when you don't just repost your question and I'll read it. I'm not trying to be a dick, Yeah, he's eating dinner right now. Oh, we got some Rene Cruz in the house. Rene Cruz, everyone thinks you're a bot. A whole bunch of people because you're on every show automatically. You're on. I've seen you on like 2 or 3 streams at once, that are going at the same time, and there's people like that account's a bot. So I don't know, man. Tell us, just let me just test you, Renee, to make sure you're not a bot. Okay, let's think of a question we can ask the bot. Turing test. Let's go. Ready? I'm gonna ask you a question right now, Renee. You paying attention? Just say yes if you're paying attention, Renee. Just give me a YES, Renee, if you're paying attention, because we're going to ask you a question and test the bot. Because I've seen her on multiple streams. Someone said, I don't know, man. It's kind of she said just get super excited about whatever you're talking about and post stuff, which is cool. I guess it's not a bad bot to have hanging around, She's not the worst, They could have troll bots, guys that just come on and try to fill my feed with Bob Lazar talk. Right. Anyways, the anti-gravity mercury drives were supposedly red mercury gas, which is highly monatomic in cases in a donut or sphere with approximately 70,000 atmospheres of pressure.
How do you make that
this
stuff?
Is interesting. So I was looking up isotopes.
What is that supposed to be, like mercury and iodine or something?
Yeah.
Is that what that's supposed to be?
Oh,
Red
yeah,
mercury?
the red mercury. It was doped with. So there's a couple ideas of this red mercury. Supposedly it was a isotopic type of mercury, right? That's one of these isotopes of mercury. Because these isotopes mercury is really weird. It's got a lot of different isotopes that are pretty abundant in just regular mercury. It's a big mix of a lot of different isotopes. It tends to be in mercury. So I don't know if they have to filter it out and get like a specific one. Maybe it's this 196 one. It's this 0.15%, and they just, that's like the hardest stuff to get. Another idea is that it was mercury that was doped with other elements that basically,
amalgamated and turned
amalgamated.
it into it turned it into just mercury amalgamated.
Yeah. So
doped stuff.
Basically what they do is you put a bunch of these. It's like if I were to dope a lattice, they take silicone and they put a phosphorus in, right? And it's called p doping, p doped silicon. Sorry, we were just having this conversation, and now I had it fixed in my head, and now I got it all fucked up again because we were just having this big whole conversation about how most people don't know the difference between silicon and silicone, and how they get confused, and it's just you drop the like you talking to someone and they try to when you're trying to talk to someone about silicon wafers and they tell you mean silicone, and it's like, okay, you just don't, you drop the conversation and you go find someone else to have it with, right? So, but anyways, if you p dope silicon, you put this phosphorus in, or boron in it, is the other one. It makes it p or n doped, and that kind of takes an electron away or puts an extra one in the lattice, and that's just extra electrons or stuff in these kinds of molecules. So that's what that can do in these types of cases. But if you're doping mercury, it supposedly puts other spin states in the matrix, and those spin states can cause weird quantum effects at these boundary layers between the spin states. So the idea is that what normal things are is called fermionic matter. And fermionic matter has a half spin, and then bosons, which are force particles, which like gravity and light and all these, and the things that make stuff move in the universe, are called bosons. And if you take two fermions, which are half and half, and you line them up in the right way so that they're processing together, these half spin plus adds to the half spin, and it gets a full integer spin. And so it starts behaving like a boson. It starts behaving like a force particle, according to the these weird rules of quantum physics. And this is a really interesting thing that happens that could be potentially be exploited, because if we can get matter particles to line their spins to line up and work in a type of unison or symmetry, we can get them to behave like force particles. So we can get matter to turn into force, to create forces from matter, essentially, potentially, and theoretically, according to quantum physics. So the whole idea is that there's this other stuff called spin metals, right? Metallic spin glasses and spin metals, and strange metals. So not spin metals, sorry. Fermionic spin metals. And there's a graph right here which talks about spin glasses, strange metals, and Fermi liquids, and this kind of triple point in here where it could potentially be all three. And these crossover points are interesting points on this phase diagram, because if we can get things to become, if we can get this liquid metal in our thing to be a strange metal and a heavy Fermi liquid along, something along this curve, in that phase diagram, then we can get it to exploit multiple quantum states at the same time. And those crossovers or entanglements could potentially be used to open wormholes or other dimensions and other types of interesting quantum physics that is really futuristic and I'm sure exists already inside of our black programs. And they're just not telling us about it. So anyways, let's read some more chats. The neutrinos are the key to creating wormholes. That's an interesting thing to say, neutrinos, because we really don't know what neutrinos are. They're hard to measure. They seem to...
From what I gathered, actually, from what I researched just recently, neutrinos, a neutrino generator was created by the same guy who created the gravity meter. Oh, shit, what the hell's his name?
How to make a neutrino beam. Is this real?
Yeah. It was done by the same guy who created the gravity wave detector that he put on the moon. They claimed that it didn't work, and then some guy worked into his of
course, they claim it doesn't work to the public,
like that. Yeah, and then they end up creating gravity wave detectors using his ideas and stuff.
Interesting.
And that's, yeah, some other guy gets a Nobel Prize, of course. But anyways, I have a couple patents where he was trying to grow crystals, and I think he was trying to create tachyon crystals, which are like neutrino beams that are like doped somehow and trapped into like the crystals, probably manipulating the dipole so that it's like like producing neutrinos in it. I believe that's what he was trying to do.
Interesting.
But
Ed Fouché
yeah,
used to
I'll
always talk about hydrogen crystals and solid hydrogen, which is another interesting thing in itself. But that's super cool. What was it? Tachyonic crystals? I want to find some
yeah, I
papers
think
or
he was
something
trying
else
to.
I
I
can.
think he was trying to like actually capture it in silicates and
So
stuff like
first
that.
off, let's find this guy's name.
Uh, shit. Yeah, I
Is
I
this
have
how
his.
to make a
I have it.
neutrino beam? This is a minute long. I'm gonna pull this out and we're gonna watch this right now.
I'll have to find him.
All right. This looks interesting. Let's see. This red mercury, yes. What is this red mercury? I want more, like, does anyone have a formula? Watch, some
Yeah.
fake paper is going to come out. This is from Germany in World War II, and we're going to have to give it to Dr. Joseph Farrell, and he's going to have to, be like, no, this is bullshit, because I speak fluent German, and I listen to polka music and German harpsichord
Yeah,
to
that's fine.
relax. Oh, he's great. He's great. He's a riot.
Okay. Damn it! How come I can't find it?
And an expert in verifying German documents.
Good. There's a few I can't translate worth a damn. Oh, 2021. There we are. No.
But neutrinos can go through anything.
November.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. All right, so let's go back over this. So this is a little too fast for me, right? Our accelerator accelerates a whole shitload of protons. And then these protons come and they smash into this graphene target. That's graphene, right? Is that what it was? Hold up. Graphite target. So they shoot it at graphite. It looks like graphene because it's like a perfect lattice crystal, though, And then they produce these new particles called pions and neutrons. The magnetic horn takes all the positive and shoots out all the so they create muons and neutrinos. Block of concrete and steel. So concrete and steel for the muons. I wonder what happens to the muons. That's pretty cool. Amazing. We're just doing particle physics. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'll like that one. And neutrino beams and neutrino lasers. So how are neutrinos related to gravity, man? I want to read up some of these questions. So you add radium to mercury, and it is a positively charged source used in their atmospheric electricity generator. Boom. That's Paul Nielsen.
Joseph Weber. That's who I'm thinking of.
Joseph Weber. That was the guy's name.
Right.
Greg Chase.
I have like a
Thank you,
1,000
Greg.
patents. Yeah.
Joseph Weber. You want to show off some of Joseph Weber's patents?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I got
I'll
them.
let you. I'll give you the floor again. Gravitational waves. I know, right? They're using the squeeze states to detect the gravitational waves. If you look up all the squeeze state stuff, they're using these squeeze states to make gravity wave detectors. And usually, if you can make a gravity wave detector, usually if you can make it a detector from something, it might be a good place to look for making an emitter or a transmitter as well. So that's
Yeah. So you can even find this guy on Wikipedia and stuff and learn about him. But he created a gravity wave detector. I believe this is his first one right here.
this is good.
Yeah. And he worked for the Navy. There's a picture of him right there.
Yes, thanks, Paul Nielsen. So radium, beryllium, and mercury, but it will kill you. Okay, yeah, those are pretty toxic. That's pretty toxic stuff, man. Radium killed Marie Curie. If there wasn't the uranium. But damn, that would be cool. So that's what they were experimenting with I want to find more documentation around it. We got to find more. There's got to be papers or something on this. If this was real physics and scientific research and it was taken seriously enough, then it should be published or written somewhere in the literature.
Yes. So he's trying to see crystals and stuff, which is kind of wild.
Seed crystals. Yeah, that's friggin' really wild.
Yeah.
When was this?
What, I mean?
What year was this?
This is Weber. This is Weber. Yeah. I believe that was Weber. Hold on. Yeah.
Seed crystals, and then he's got some optical.
That other patent I forgot. Sorry, that other gravitational wave detector. That was not his. I just realized that.
Semiconducting gravimeter. This is
that thing. This thing right here is not his. Sorry, my bad. This one. I just put that in there. Maybe it is. Maybe his is. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, it is his. There is Joseph Weber. He's
okay.
Also
Never mind. Ciani 002 has figured it out. We just mix the mercury with Red Bull and it gives it wings.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, I bet you most of these documents are in Germany. Their original stuff is all in Germany. I bet you we gotta get a German guy on our database team to go over, to start digging stuff out of the German archives and translating it for us, man. How epic would that? This stuff's all declassified now, right? But you guarantee there's stuff over there, working on. I guarantee the Russians had to have been working on some cool stuff too. Have you found anything do you look at the Russian patents and stuff like that too?
I don't understand any Russian, but I can skim over it and kind of pick out what it is, just skim through it and all. Yeah. So he has a million.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry for calling. Renee left because I called her a bot. She's not really a bot. This guy's I've seen her in person. She's actually really cute. I'm sorry, Renee. I really am. If you're a real person, then I'm really sorry. I just I was just a little kid playing with a rope, so when I touched it, it turned into beads of silver liquid. Fascinating. I was broken a thermometer. Just talking about. I want to just read Renee's because I called her out and then I didn't get back to her. Quicksilver. Yeah, she's talking about Quicksilver and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Anyways, Harry Toe. Maybe Harry Toe's the other bot covering for the bot. They're all just a team of bots. I'm just kidding. We're all NPCs, right? We're all just a bunch of NPCs. It's all a computer program.
Okay, yeah. So here it is. This is the one I showed Jeremiah the other day, and I was comparing it. It kind of reminded me of the Alciphon experiment.
This is fun. You guys are sitting on loads of documents. Hell yeah, we got friggin' a whole bunch of cool stuff in here, man. We need more people to be interested and come down. You come down to you set up a time once meet up with me. I'll give you a copy of the database. I'm in Rhode Island. We have a Canadian contact. If you're in Canada, we have someone you can get in touch with up there. Just send me an email, thealienscientist@protonmail.com or gmail.com. And I'll get you in touch with someone in your area that has access to the database, and we can start distributing more backup copies. So you can go right to them. Bring an 8 gigabyte hard drive an 8 terabyte hard drive. Sorry, you're gonna need a bigger than 8 gigs to get all this stuff. So bring a big hard drive with you, and you can meet up with one of a person in our area that I can link you up with if you're that serious about acquiring a copy of this database and getting access to all these documents. Of course, it changes every month, man. We just keep getting more stuff and adding more stuff, man. Right?
Yeah. This one from Weber is a method of an apparatus for generating neutrinos and or anti-neutrinos, a neutrino modulation method, and a neutrino beam generator. So I think that's the one you're looking for, and that's the one I said that looks like the Alciphon experiment.
Yeah, it almost does. It really does. Very very similar to Yeah, there we got RF variable source in the middle with the the little magnet to spin align it in the middle, and then the other electromagnets on the outside for it to fall back into alignment with after you anti-align it, and that's Alzafon right there.
Yeah, and then of course I think there's other wiring methods. Sure, there's a neutrino, an anti-neutrino one, and generator. Here's the anti-neutrino or neutrino beam generator. That looks cool. I wouldn't mind figuring out how that worked. But I think that's all part of the Alcifon thing. I think that's where all that.
Right
That's
on.
what it's doing. It's creating a anti-neutrinos and shit. It's just an anti-neutrino generator.
Dude, particle physics is so cool. We got to get more. I got to get a particle physicist on here to really like
Yeah, take us to school.
take us to school on some of this shit, man. That would be epic. I mean, I'm kind of good with particle physics, but I'm not like an expert.
Yeah, me neither. All right, so we'll go back to space tech. So yeah, there's those drives right there. Those are pretty fancy. They also created an ion beam. It's for being able to communicate to through a region of ionized gas, which is like the issue with all rockets that are going into space. And they already have one. They have like already designed it and probably put it on the shelf.
What
Uh,
about getting this database on a cloud? H Stone asks 39. H Stone 39. What about having the database on a cloud? That would be. I mean, the thing is that we don't want to get it overrun, and the other problem is that some of the stuff that's in here is copywritten, and we don't want to be getting legal trouble for giving access to like book whole volumes of books that are textbooks that normally pay like $200 for at a college university library, you know. So
well, most of the books I got were pretty much from archive.org, but yeah,
I know
like
most of them,
yeah.
but there's a lot of stuff that I know I posted up, stuff that came out. Like, for instance, one of the biggest hackers on the FBI's list, a guy named Kevin Mitnick, wrote a book called Ghost in the Wires. And when his publisher published it after they released it, an anonymous copy of the book on PDF just randomly leaked on the internet. Of course, the guy's like a big hacker. It's just so funny. It's like, yeah, the book got published, but then just an anonymous copy just showed up on PDF somehow, instantly a week later. But anyways, I was sure to grab that when that went out, and I was lucky enough to catch that and have been paying attention when that did drop, so that I got a hold of that and got a copy of that and stuff like so there's some interesting other stuff in the database for people that are interested and some stuff that's not it's not this stuff's not published, man. It's like, but what's cool is like this is like we're going over the real detailed intelligence stuff. A lot of this stuff's really hard for normal people to build in their home in their homes and stuff, or to cause any serious damage with. And I think if the people that are able to build this stuff and really work with it are kind of at least intelligent enough and ethically responsible enough to do like stupid stuff with it, because one of the interesting one of the interesting things that my friend was joking around about is like how during the riots they were like on like on TV, like basically telling people like, yes, people were throwing Molotov cocktails through people's windows, so they were mixing styrofoam with gasoline, and basically like giving these people these dumbasses directions on how to do this stuff. I thought that was funny.
No.
But it's just the media for you. They're just trying to like.
So here's a really nice one for you.
Yeah, let's get back into this. This is
Yeah. We always hear about they wrap a coil on the tip of the craft and then they charge it in order to break the
Yeah, they make
You know,
they
like
make
that.
a current. They make a big magnetic field on the nose of the cone of the craft, and
Yeah,
that basically that magnetic field actually, if it's strong enough, you can actually ionize the gas and move
yeah,
it moves it out of the way, causing they can also do super cavitation and then also magnetohydrodynamic control. This is where that gets a little more tricky. Let's
yeah. That's part of this the Space Technologies Lab Incorporated. They've figured all that stuff out, and this is part of their patents. Uh, and I'll do my other favorite one. This one's my favorite one from them as well. So this is like a space plane type magnetohydrodynamic apparatus. I was talking to Jeremiah, and he likes this one the most.
Gary McKinnon has shown up. Dude, someone said that Gary McKinnon sometimes shows up on these live streams. That's all. I'm a huge fan of Gary, man. Back in the day, I was like super fascinated by that story about him hacking into the and doing all that stuff. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I would love reach out to me, man. I would love to get that dude on, or anyone that tunes into my live streams who's anybody, please, contact me. I want to get more guests to come on and talk to me and stuff. Man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it makes me think that they make these space planes already. With the like being this is 1959, you have to have been able to perfect the technology by now.
Oh
You know what I
God,
mean?
yes. This is decades ago, man.
This is grandpa stuff.
Grandpa was
The
doing
old
this. Yeah, he's like,
yeah,
"Alright."
all the graybeards are laughing at us.
Right, the dusting off the. Show me the thing too about in addition, what was super interesting, right? So we're talking about this beam propulsion technology, that light craft stuff, right? So the ability to move a craft from the ground, and it's hard enough to move one that you want to move. But what about one that like, that you're not directly trying to propel? What if you could you use this stuff as like an electronic countermeasure, like an ECCM technology, where basically we could fire this thing at an incoming plane and get it to lose lift, or get it to fly in another direction by changing shooting a laser on its wings and changing the air current.
Yeah, you can do that right here.
Oh, that's interesting.
Look at a little a little tractor beam. Near. Check that out.
Look what we found in Grandpa's medicine cabinet. Drinking
That's
all
where you
Grandpa.
aim. Yeah, aim to control the craft.
Yeah.
Well.
It's got it all figured out. Yeah, with the vectors, it's like, oh, you just do a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah, that came from as we've seen before. This beam propulsion technology. This is the same guy.
Yep. That's the same dude. Yeah. So you go. That's what's key about some of this stuff is when it comes out in this one part, you go and say, "Who's this guy? He's an interesting fella." And then you're looking, "Oh, what else kind of research is he doing?" "Oh, well, he's spent the last 20 years working on DARPA contracts, working for some really advanced shit that nobody knows about." And holy crap, I just learned a ton of cool science. And this is real disclosure. This is real UFO disclosure, because people start realizing, holy shit, there's science that explains this crap we've been seeing flying around. Holy shit.
I wouldn't say science. I would say more engineering, but yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Engineering
True.
that can create
yeah,
a science.
because the science is the first step, and then the engineering makes it practical. And just to think that this stuff wasn't being engineered. We have that Lightcraft video from like year 2000, and watching that and like thinking like, man, 20 years of advancement of that kind of stuff, and that big one that he had looks just like the freaking gimbal craft from 2007. That was just 7 years later. It's not hard to believe that they could have advanced this stuff to some level where they were flying around this craft that was no human involved, and it was flown on some really exotic types of propulsion technology that defied our normal conventional understanding of aircraft and air physics. Which
So
is not yet
that one
warp
patent
drive.
I just showed you not too long ago, had that electrode one with the propulsion. I believe that's right there on my Mirabeau's craft here.
Yeah. So for the record, this is different than the warp drive stuff. This is all different like some of these technologies are very different, but then there's some relation and some overlap. These are microwave technologies, and these are plasmas and what are called magnetohydrodynamics, and
Yeah,
microwave.
these craft run without the microwave beam or the laser on them. They only need that when they want to go into hypervelocity speeds. Otherwise, they can toot around 200 some odd kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in miles per hour, but uh, that they go pretty fast, and they can hover around and stay stationary for, I believe, when I looked it through Mirabeau's book, he was claiming that they could hover around for like 24 hours or even more, depending on how much energy you can store.
Right.
Uh,
Um,
so uh, yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. And all you need the beam is for charging and hypervelocity.
that's cool. So there's what are called air traffic highways. I just want to make a comment. Someone in the comments said, hold up, I gotta find the comment now. He said, "What about attracting UFO boys with lasers?" And that's not really a good idea, pointing lasers in the sky. I mean, it's all right if you're out in the middle of nowhere, but just make sure that you know where the airline sky highways are, and that you're not directly under one. If you're in an area that gets a lot of chemtrails, you might be near an airline sky highway, because there's certain lanes in the sky which air traffic is diverted to, where there's lots of airplanes, and you don't want to be shining one of these things around and accidentally hit an airplane, because they will try to find you, and the FAA will charge you with trying to down a plane with a laser and an act of terrorism, and that's not cool. So yeah, just don't get your, it's cool if you're trying to summon UFOs and you're not, shining these things at airplanes and you're far enough away, but just be aware that they will try to, or knock out satellites even too. You can, I don't know, but anyways, just be careful with that. I wouldn't, be too. I don't know. I'm not advocating going out there, and I don't know. I've never gone out there and tried to like look for ships, because I'm just more interested in learning about the science and how to build these things. So anyways, let's get back to that.
Yeah.
The leak
Okay.
mirror. So this is they took this to the next level, and now they're putting it on board the craft. Is this Leak Mirabeau stuff too, or was
Yeah,
that
all of it is. Yep. All that I just showed you was. Yep.
that newer one?
That's
So that's what he did.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. His whole book is
holy shit.
on that craft that I just showed you. Hold on.
The
He
one with
has a book. Yeah, he
the
has a book which
self-contained
is
one.
it's
Oh
out of
yeah, it's
print
right
now.
there. That is him, the
Yeah.
fan jet.
So if you want to buy it off Amazon, you better get it before it's too expensive. uh, anyways,
Hell yeah, the thing.
So it explains all this entire craft and other craft as well. And this book also talks about like maglift belts. So anyone who's on the surface, they can literally suck them up into the ship and through tubes and into the ship. It's pretty funny if you actually read the book. And
Yeah, huh? So they're talking about
pretty
tractor
wild.
beams and shit too, like.
Yeah, like literally sucking you up in the ship when you have a maglev belt on you.
Yeah, I seen the guy. It showed the guy with the picture of the belt on
Uh,
and flying
show that one.
around. That was hilarious.
Which one was it? I think it was 96. This one right here. Yeah, I'll get on that. Hold on. So yeah, he was also thinking about making superconductive highways for these type of craft, just so that like all the cool stuff could happen.
Oh yeah,
But
he grew up reading science fiction books and just was like, "This is the future. Why aren't we making this? Why aren't we doing more of this?"
yeah.
This is me
So
like
like
as a kid, man. I used to just sit there and draw this shit in my folder in my desk, dream about it.
Yeah, here are also the shapes you can use for these type of craft because they're center of balance, center of gravity type craft. Uh, you want to be able to have full control over it when it's weightless. So you would actually, so you want your thrusters and stuff to be able to have full control, so you don't lose it. Um,
Yep.
I'm just trying to find that maglev belt thing. I might have seen past it. Oh, here's another important facts here.
The
Explain
fan
like how,
jet.
yeah, they explain the Lorentz force that's pushing the air downward.
Beam rider
And
propulsion system.
yeah, I wish I could rotate this, but I can't. But anyways, so right here, the Lorentz force is happening, and this is a shear layer right here, as you can see, and this trap vortex in here will create like what looks like a smoke ring, like that's the type of effect it has, and Standeo calls it the Lorentz O. If anyone ever wants to know what the secret of flying saucers is, it's not Lorenzo, it's the Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, it's the Lorenzo, not Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Yeah. Anyways, here's the megalith belt. The idea of the megalith belt, it's way cooler because there's pictures in this book about it, and it's. I wish I could just scan the book, but I can't. It wouldn't be right. Even though it's out of print for now.
Yeah, right. So you
Because of the
combine.
pandemic.
It's crazy what we're learning how to do with beams and lasers and what affects the human body and what doesn't and how it does.
Yeah. And there's the old graphic.
Yeah.
Jeremiah had a colored one. I wish I got it off him before he took off. Yeah, and then there's the megalith crew transfer calculation. Oh, I didn't even realize that was here. Sweet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can suck people up into your craft with your megalith belts. Sounds so
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's awesome.
I know, right? He's just
Yeah,
like,
Buck Rogers. Yeah. Oh yeah,
you
there
gotta
we go.
love this guy.
So right here is I went through his other documents. It's the Klystron. That's where the toroid is. And in here is it's a giant solenoid, plasma core shield for space, so that debris won't damage the craft. NASA has a bunch of stuff on that. I have that on the drive as well.
Yeah, we gotta make
But-
we gotta make like
but-
a magnetic snow plow that we can snow plow my driveway with it, but it's just magnets, you know. Anyways,
Or
and
we
snow
could
boots,
just
microwave
or we
boots.
could do what Thomas Townsend Brown did. He made his little petrovoltaic batteries, but they're like brick, and and then when you short them, they get hot. And it's and these petrovoltaic batteries have self potential, so you just charge them once like a electric, and they'll stay hot. That's wild. And like he's talking about making laneways with it, and
We gotta get Stan Dio on, man. We gotta reach
yeah,
out.
no, yeah, because actually he claims he has the missing notebook that isn't shared on the Thomas Townsend Brown family website,
Ooh.
and like that's supposed to be real serious. And I'm hoping like I'm pretty sure like I'm gonna like if you ever do get him on APEC, I'm gonna actually ask him about that and show him. Be like, hey, these are the books. This is the missing one. Do you have that? You know?
Seriously.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. I seriously want to ask him that. I'd be like, do you have that? Because that would be so awesome. We would figure out all the fucking problems pretty much. But anyways, so this is a little pylon thing that goes inside here. It's so like if you want to send crew members down to the surface, you can just send that little thing down while that thing hovers, while the craft hovers in the air.
Imagine
And
you
then
just were like you were walking out in a farm field tripping on shrooms one day and you walked across that thing just sitting in the field and you stepped on it and it went whoop and you went right up into the ship. And it's just like, welcome. You know, it's like controlled it by your mind and it could speak to you through your thoughts. And
Well,
I've
that
always
wouldn't
thought
be
about
too.
this. I've always thought about this.
It wouldn't be too hard to do. If you ever seen Lou's patents, it's definitely not that hard to do.
Oh man.
All right,
Plasma
so
plow. Yes, the plasma plow. And
Yeah.
imagine floating them too fast and you hit the craft and explode like a bear at 50 cal in Pavlov VR.
So yeah, here's his laser beam propulsion patent. Yeah, from the ground. He doesn't show it from the sky yet, but he never made a patent for the sky one.
That thing looks so much like that gimbal craft. It's crazy.
I know. It's wild, eh? The gimbal actually is designed more like how if you were shooting a laser from the top and the bottom, so that way you could always charge it whenever you needed to if it was in the vicinity of where it needed to go.
Let's pull that thing up. Let's pull it up.
With the gimbal?
Stabilized. Oh, not the stabilizer. Gimbal UFO.
Well, here's the laser shooting from the top. This is what it would look like. It's a little different shape. It's more of an egg shape. Right there. See? Or like an acorn. If
What's that, the onboard laser? Or shooting at?
No, if you're shooting from space, this is the shape of craft you'd want it as, not the other one.
So if they had some of these space directed energy weapons, that could have been modified for this purpose.
Yeah, like I've seen egg-shaped ones on YouTube, and I've actually seen one that I won't explain that, but anyways, you can make it an egg shape, and it would take on it'll act as a vortex nozzle as well, and that gives it far more effective with lift and whatnot.
Look at it rotate.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting that it rotates, and it's kind of got like a pulsating thing around it that almost looks like the pulsating light that comes off of this thing in the videos that I've seen of the light craft. Lightcraft's microwave rocket ship. Yeah, this one.
Well, that's my robo. All right. Kramer, Rudolph. So here's another cool thing, actually. I think it's this one right here. Now, this guy made. He worked for the Space Technology Labs Incorporated, but he also did a patent for. Where the heck is it? TRW or whatever it is. That really secret company.
Teledyne Ryan.
It was TRW or TWR or TVR. Shit.
What was the name of this company again? I want to find more. This Kirk Meyer? Eric Meyer?
No. What's his name?
This
Always
is Rudolph
talks.
Meyer.
Yeah. Shit. I'll just punch this patent number into this.
Yeah. 3,223,046.
Oh, I messed that up.
Well, hey, that's a funny thing about Mick West made a comment on Twitter earlier too, and was talking about conspiracy theories and how ridiculous they are, and this flawed epistemologies and this and that, and I just commented, let me find the thing. I want to read this exactly because I don't want to mess this up. This was funny. This was too good. Damn you, Mick.
Maybe that wasn't it.
I've been going off about that other shit. My own conspiracy about the conspiracies. I go off on conspiracies. Conspiracy theories are fun, man. They're fun to entertain.
There it is. TRW. That's the company. TRW Incorporated.
TRW.
Yeah,
what does that stand for?
Just I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what abbreviates. That's why I hate abbreviations. I absolutely can't stand
of Ohio. Where are they in Ohio? And we got to find more, information on TRW
Yeah,
Incorporated in Ohio.
TRW, I'm pretty sure they made that headset that like supposed to read the thoughts of the pilot.
Really?
Yeah, like they do super stuff like that. Oh, what's his name? Thomas Will Thomas Williams, I think it is. William Tompkins. That's what it is. William Tompkins. He uh
Boom.
he worked for TRW, he claimed.
Boom. Automotive and aerospace. It was acquired by TRW Automotive, Northrop Grumman, and Goodrich Corporation. Founded in 1901, and it went defunct in 2002. It was headquartered in Euclid, Ohio, Lyndhurst, Ohio. So where's Euclid? Just so we know, Euclid's
Oh,
up in the north part. It's not.
I
It's
bet
not
you all
near.
those papers are burnt.
It's nowhere near Dayton or Columbus. So it's on the north side of Ohio, near the
But
Great Lakes. But
yeah, they're one of those real high tech, super secret space people
yeah, that's interesting.
companies.
Lucas
Yeah, they
Aerospace.
yeah, I figured they got bought up. But yeah, this reminds me though of like um, a containment type of system where it's contained by a solenoid and you create energy and it creates like almost like an infusion type of thing where you're just expelling particles at a ridiculous rate. But that's just a plasma generator and propulsion exhaust system.
Hold on, let me pull you back up and show that again because I was on something else. I wasn't showing that your screen. So just show that again real quick.
Yeah,
This was
right here.
back to this patent. TRW. That's interesting. I was reading their Wikipedia article. The company that was
Okay.
doing this research. Very very interesting. You find what you find digging through this stuff. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
You
oh
start
my
opening
God,
up
that
doors.
company! Like, I remember reading them. Like, there's a company in Plainville that did uranium refinement for the Manhattan Project or something. They did something uranium there. It's still classified. You know exactly what they did there, but the whole place is like radioactive waste dump on this list of there's toxic places in America. There's 100 most toxic places in America. You can look this up. Um, in U.S., right? And it has a whole list of the 100 most this is most dangerous cities. So they have most toxic like these toxic waste dumps that are located in, and I found one of them is in you find this shit's in your backyard, in the town next to you, and it's like, what? They did secret aerospace research there? And if you're out in the audience in the live chat and you're someone that, you're hey, I live near there, please, we need boots on the ground. Get in touch with me. I will give you directions. So you'll be like an instant operative. You can get a hold of me. I'll be like, this is what you go. This is what you do. This is how this is what you ask for. This is what you try to find. And we'll send
You've
you on
heard
a
of
mission.
Christian Birkeland, haven't you?
Christian Birkeland.
Yeah, he created the
I know I've heard that name before.
yeah Birkeland currents, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it's the same
Birkeland
guy. I
currents.
believe it. I'm not too sure if it is the same guy or not. But he
Let's,
made a bunch of patents back in the early 1900s, and
I'm going to go look up Birkeland currents. Hold on one second. Hold that thought. Just so we can get some. I don't see it on here. It's not on. It's not on Wikipedia. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I got it. Oh, this is super interesting. So I'll post that. I just wanted to get a link so people could get some reference. So
yep.
All right. Now continue.
Yeah, okay. So this is from the Electrical Experimenters magazine. I have all of them on the drive. Um, and what it changed into after that was like Scientific Inventor or something like that. But anyways, this is all about the nitrogen furnace. It's pretty much just it's a magnetic hydrodynamic system where he activates the hydrogen in the air and stuff like that. And heats it and uses it to heat houses and shit like that. Um,
Holy
but
shit!
yeah,
So
there's
so I just want to point out, Brian Kelly said that the Falcon and the Snowman guy was TRW. So the Falcon and the Snowman was this. The Falcon and the Snowman. Is it the Winter Soldier? No, I thought it was the Snowman. So the Falcon and the Snowman. Why does that come up? The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's weird. It's like they're trying to throw you off. This stuff was a movie made about this real spy with Sean Penn, and it was about a spy drama. A real life story is based on a true story, and the company in it was actually TRW. That's right. I know I've heard about this before. It's interesting how you hear this stuff and it kind of like, and then you connect pieces of it later, and it's like, oh my god, there's so much of this stuff that's connected. That's right. He was working on this guy exposed the thing down in. He was working at a company in Australia, right? Isn't that the story of this, that it was he
they
had gotten a
they
hold.
outsource a lot. That's a funny thing. Like I realized like
There was that
I was
array. Yeah, go on.
yeah I was looking at Patel and I noticed that like Patel around right when the alien metals came in here. Actually, I'll just go on and show you on the drive here real quick. But like let's take a look at the Great Britain patents. These are right around the times when like right after the saucer craft shit happened. But in the United States, the patents kind of go silent around this time.
Yes,
So
Christopher
like they're
John.
outsourcing to like different countries.
Yeah,
Um,
this is where the
some of
patents
these
go
patent
silent.
ideas,
So they
yeah,
start.
like because they're in other countries. That's why. Like they're there. They're just in other
Right.
countries,
They're
and
on
then other countries
islands,
bring the
on
material
private
in.
islands.
Yeah,
With
wherever. This was Great Britain, but yeah,
who knows, dude? You got to think, like, you watch all those movies like The Incredibles, where these rich people have these private islands with just like Doctor Evil's friggin' island, and all these different, even James Bond thrillers, talk from the '60s about these guys with these big, these massive islands where all this crazy stuff went on, and with the Illuminati, that just makes you really think and wonder, man.
this is one of my favorite ones from Patel. It's a heat pump, and it's run electromagnetically.
That looks like, what that looks like to me? A parametric generator. That looks just like a parametric generator that I that's really cool. The
Yeah,
two.
it's a heat pump though. Like it's for heating and cooling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's just a heat pump.
A magnetic field using magnetic fields, right? I thought that was fascinating. Just that the fact that it was a heat pump and it just ran off of electricity, solid state.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's almost like the airflow, the electric airflow fans, that work on kind of a similar effect. Those
Yeah,
the fans that people have, there's no blade.
yeah, the Ionic breeze.
The bladeless fans. Yeah.
Yeah, Ionic breeze and all those other things and the gatherers and the yeah. Jeremiah and I hacked that all to pieces. We're thinking about like how you could create electrostatic heating and cooling in the unit so that it could filter the air and heat and cool your house. But yeah, that's we were talking about that a while back because it works with Thomas Townsend Brown's patents are referenced in it. But yeah,
Yeah,
anyway.
that's another thing that's cool. You find so much in the referencing.
Yeah,
People that go back to these other old people's work and reference it in their literature, and I don't know, some of that might be useful too for identifying frauds. So if we can go back and find this one thing's like a fraud, and then we can take everyone that copied and kind of did research on that afterward. But I guess some of these things are more complicated than that. It's like these effects that were elucidated and are only come out in like certain types of scenarios and stuff, and it's not well understood what the scenarios are that produce them and create them, and they had to like kind of back engineer a lot of this stuff to figure that out through quantum physics and stuff. Yeah, so this was TRW's Black Vault, their classified communications center, and he worked with the National Reconnaissance Office's transmissions department. Very interesting, but he was basically selling these things to the Russians through the Cuban embassy or something, or Mexico City. So he was like going to Mexico City and meeting with this, another source and passing these microfilms. And he was sitting there hanging out in front of the government building, and his source didn't show up. And he was so desperate for the money and to meet him that he just sat there and waited for like way too long. And the police took him in and searched him, and they found these microfilms on him. And like that's when he was busted. They handed it over to the U.S. and on the microfilms they found all these pictures of these espionage and of this spy satellite program for the National Reconnaissance Office, which was taking place down in Australia and a couple other places. But it was
Yeah, the NRO. The NRO has a lot to do with like like I don't. You obviously know from Fouché, like like the NRO create the Men in Black, right? The Tactical Reconnaissance Engineering Assessment Team members, treat members, and like.
Yeah. This is very much Men in Black. I mean, going back to the history of the National Reconnaissance Office, but also the Men in Black were also according to Nick Redfern and some of these other guys' research, that the Men in Black were also the Atomic Energy Agency. They were basically the people that kept secrets for the atomic bomb project, for the Manhattan Project.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah. But there's another thing here. Like this is supposed to be for anti-icing and aerodynamic structures for Patel Memorial Institute here. Memorial Institute, my bad.
Yeah, this is more Battelle stuff. Very, yeah.
And he's talking about using capacitors and carbon nanotube layers in order to store and supply electricity.
November 27th, 2018. And this was so that's no doubt that 2 years ago they were doing this. That's why they got the contract for these smart skins now.
Yeah, you can see like on the tips of all these vehicles, they got it there, and you see like they've been working in this obviously for a while. It's just now
they've been working on it.
The doors, right?
Now they're opening the doors. Yeah, they're finally like saying, look, this is declassified. We're gonna be rolling out. We're gonna be letting you know, like the F-22 Raptor that was supposedly this big waste of money. That went to black projects. We haven't seen its top secret aircraft declassified since the F-117 stealth fighter like 30 years ago, and everyone in the public is like hungry for like, all right, what you got? Come on, like
Tesla pancake well right here.
When are you gonna show us the stuff? And it's like this is how it's coming out, is like they do this whole kind of like pseudo disclosure so that the underground kind of gets access to it first, and it kind of weaves its way into the public consciousness before they really. I think that's how they're doing it before they really hit us with this reality, like that, because this stuff they've been trying to figure out and develop. I bet since Howard Hughes was allegedly part of showing that Roswell debris and trying to figure out how the fuck these things fly with no wings or moving parts or
Yeah, there's a Tesla pancake coil right here in this patent. Look at it, plain as day.
That's cool.
Right there. They're using it on aircraft now. That's wild. Good job, Patel.
Yeah. Tesla had his way 100 years ago. He might already have this stuff.
Oh fuck, we would have. Actually, like if you really go through like the past, here, I'll do a quick.
There's more stuff to it. Cause there's more stuff to it as well, because a lot of it was solid state and condensed matter physics as well, and a lot of it was the material science, and that had to be developed. The ability to produce that stuff really wasn't until the space agency and the space race helped a lot. Create a lot of the electronics and a lot of the stuff that we have now, and GPS. A lot of these things that we take for granted were developed and came out of the space program and related international efforts to develop and accelerate technology. Technology has been kind of put on pause, I feel, for like the past 30 years, and they've really been trying to bring people back and miseducate the public on science and meanwhile, even the academic community has no idea about a lot of this stuff, and anyone who talks about it's kind of looked at like as like, oh, you're just like this weirdo or this outsider, you know. It's just like
So I just want to
sad.
show you this really quick here. This patent here is pretty much like Tesla's little thing, Tesla's invention, except they added a UV light and shot it through a screen. Um, let's see, let's go back to the other page. Right here. And what's crazy is I wish I saved the picture, but I
Wow.
saw a picture of a blimp, a real picture, with a light beaming down the ground and a light beaming in the air from the back. And it reminded me completely of this patent, and I wish I saved the picture because I would have just been like, I would have just threw it in the folder, and I've been like, there you go, there it is. But this is pretty much Tesla's patent. It's just that Great Britain decided that they just add a light and make it different, a little bit different, and steal it from them. But their whole idea was to get wireless energy to other like a whole bunch of different ways. And you were showing off Rhoda the other day in magnetohydrodynamics. Uh,
Yeah,
Rota,
yeah.
yeah,
Rota.
yeah, Rota. Let's see
Yeah,
here.
that's kind of like way back to it, man. This was like Jules Verne. Jules Verne was an interesting name. It's a name I haven't heard in a while. When I posted this article, I got a couple comments about that. Jules Verne, of course, was old school science fiction writer of like the 18th century who kind of envisioned, going to the bottom of the sea with submarines that didn't exist yet at the time, and then also building, fantastic airplanes and spacecraft that would travel and bring us to the farthest reaches of space. Um, but it came from a whole different generation of philosophers and scientists. Really, it's super interesting. No.
So this is Rhoda's system, and he was trying to create a wireless transmission of energy to his vehicles. A lot of people don't realize that, and he's doing it a lot like how Tesla was doing it. And they all seemed they were all aiming for this goal to get wireless energy to these craft and fly them around. And this is back in the early 1900s. Like, it's pretty wild. So this is Rhoda's wireless and energy transmission system, and you'll see it like that. Like it's a lot like Wardenclyffe, right? Like he's transmitting the energy through the ground, as you can see here, and then using the Earth itself, like Tesla was trying to do. Um, and that was for obviously Rhoda's patent here, but this is obviously in French. But this is what it is that these are, he calls them solenoids, these coils, and these are supposed to be hollow tubes, so you can create it with black pipe likely. These plates can be used silver, copper, or aluminum. He claims. This plate right here is negatively charged. The middle plate is positively charged, and the top plate is negatively charged. And that's to keep it steady and stationary. And if he wants to accelerate in any direction, he just turns the top plate off or decreases the energy to it variably, and it'll accelerate in the upward direction. And he was talking about using air screws at the time. That's what they called them, to help assist forward propulsion. Because after it's weightless, it only needs minimum air screw energy to move it along.
And this was in 1915, literally
Yeah,
a
let's go.
decade.
Let's go check. It'll say right here.
Yeah, that's
It was brought in 1913 and it was released 1920.
so a decade and a half
Yeah.
after the Wright brothers.
Oh yeah, and once these things hit the patent office, this always happens. No matter if you own it or not, the military generally takes it and builds it, and then releases it as soon as they're done. It's a loophole, right? In order to
There's some links. If you go to Rex Research, Rhoda.
Yeah, that's in English if you want. Yeah, if you want the English translation. But yeah, there's also a lot of information on there too about it. But anyways, that's one of the wired systems. Those are two different wire systems, and then of course we know Tesla was on this as well, right? He was trying to create levitation and all that stuff. But I think he was doing it with tubes, and that was my belief from what I've researched so far. That he was trying to work it with tubes and coils, those pancake coils,
We'll give you
because
links. We'll give you links to most of the stuff we're talking about, but I don't have a link directly to our full archive, guys. We're just gonna have to go over stuff, and like if people want access to individual files, you can email us directly about something that you saw, and we'll send it to you or give you access to specific things. But we can't just. There's a lot of stuff that's proprietary, and we're still digging through, and you know. I don't want to give away all our. We got quite a few aces in the hole. We don't want to give away all our stuff yet. So you'll have
yeah,
to wait.
Eric Dollard's an awesome person to figure out if you guys want to learn about engineering and actually proper engineering. Right now, he's taking all of Oliver Heaviside's math and actually completing it with Charles Proteus Steinmetz math on the magnetic field and the dielectric field. So like literally real engineering. Like you can't beat it, and it's simple. Um, yeah, that's Charles Proteus Steinmetz in his magnetic field. But yeah, anyways, all right. So Tesla, where are you? Yeah, also here too, another thing, if you guys want to learn about Tesla's one wire system, which used impulse, it's wired differently. This is like the analog of or analogy of how circuits work through a hydraulic analog here. This is a two-wire circuit, and if you scroll down, if you checked it right here, this is how Tesla did his one-wire circuit. So what's happening is the energy's going down the wire, hitting the friction device, which is a light, and hits the capacitor, and the capacitor discharges the energy back down the line and back through into the system and back into the ground. And there's been a few other analogs that work like that, but this is how his antenna works. This is how his light bulb works. Um, this is all out of the Electrical Experimenters magazine as well, if anyone wants to know. Like, it goes through all this material. I just pretty much clipped it all apart and put it all
I
together.
see a couple real simple equations. So maybe, but I want to know about the windings and the ratios and stuff like that a little more. But that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, and here's the what this was the Tesla's idea of the one wire energy system towards these type of flying objects. So obviously this technology was thought of and was trying to be processed at these times, but a lot of it got consumed by, generally the Navy, right? Because during war times you just consume it and consume the people and give them all give them all ranks so that if they tell anyone it's treason.
Right on.
That's what they do. I'm not kidding you. Like if you get a cosmic top secret clearance, you're generally made an officer. So if you tell anyone, it's treason. Anyway, so this is how Tesla's one wire system worked, and he literally made a bulb around the antenna and it gave off light. And that's how his one wire light system was figured out. We have an awesome book. Jeremiah and I dug this up, and we've been going through it. If it's only been released a couple times, and you can get it from archive.org. I'll give you that little tidbit if I can find the book. But yeah, anyways, I'll have to show that some other time because I don't see it in there.
Right on. Hey guys, remember to smash that like button. And subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and you can share this video, post it around. Just give a quick post. Try to get some people on here. I wanna stay on for another hour or so if we can, and keep going over as much stuff as possible. So
Okay, here's Hill's patent. Really nice gem. This is the one I thought would work in conjunction with the other patent that worked with the other skin electrodes. Um, Jeremiah and I talk about this patent all the time because it's really unique. Like the waveforms that they're using here in order to create the effect. It's pretty cool. You can even use a square wave generator with a pulse generator and a phase adjuster in order to get the waves that they were looking for in order to
so
get
this is
the
like a square.
propulsion
It's
to
like
work
it looks like a square wave with a sawtooth peak on the tip of it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and like if you look at this one, this is the one me and Jeremiah were talking about. Like that's really unique because it's not like that one, right? It's more like this one. And Jeremiah was talking about
That's
like
the
how.
first time I've seen any waveforms published in one of these kind of patents, because
Oh
it's like I've
yeah, yeah,
always
I
been
dig this shit
curious.
up.
I've always been curious about the waveforms, man. Yeah. Well, I mean,
And this guy
I don't
recycles the system.
I don't read enough patents. I don't read as much as you and Jeremiah and stuff, because some of them are just so boring, and it's like, you don't know if this shit actually worked or not. It's because like, so like I tend to stick on. This is why we make a good team, because like I stick on the more theoretical side. So I look at this and I'm like, so why would this work, and where can I find anything on that? And then I work on that side. We work, This is
Yeah,
good
Jeremiah
stuff,
was
man.
talking about making this kind of stuff before he went off to what do you call it? Mark's place there, where we're talking about this, and I think he was testing like how he said he claimed that the energy behind this type of system is a lot better than in just Thomas Townsend Brown system. But yeah, like it goes all across here, like showing you the electrodes and how the energy moves and the wave moves across the top, the skin of the surface of the craft. Um, da, da, da. Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. A lot of waveforms, flow. Now this is the unique part I really wanted to show.
I want to
So,
find who's
and
been building this stuff and who's done experiments with this stuff, and so that we can get some. I want to do experiments with this stuff, because so far we've really just been testing gravity in our lab. Is trying to find couplings between electromagnetism and gravity, trying to find an experiment where we can get an anomalous effect. It's mostly been a pass or fail. We haven't actually had a pass yet, so we haven't actually like really gotten into taking any data or doing anything to like doing any real paper writing or anything, because we've just been trying to probe a bunch of these experiments. Some of them, like the Podklanov experiment, a little bit more obscure, but most of that's been gravitation. So this is like more propulsion stuff, and this would be more interesting, because we could actually build some stuff that actually works or flies. And if we can get some smart guys together, maybe we can build a drone or something out of this. Just
yeah,
to try it. I mean, if this guy Louis Rota built this plane in 1913, 100 years ago, right? It came out in 1920, right? 100 years ago, we can build this thing. We can build a drone that uses this stuff, and we can fly it around with just a regular drone remote control if we can hook up the controls right, and
well,
we build one of these things. We instantly have a product that we can sell, and I can build these things and sell them, and we'll have funding for our fucking anti-gravity shit.
I think the biggest problem is that magnetic systems work better as they get smaller, and electromagnetic systems get better as they get bigger. And I think we're just not building them big enough, personally. But anyways, Hill's patent here, he does repulsion and attraction.
So
See that? Two negatives here. He's creating a repulsion field, but there's the attractions right here.
the attractions right there were all the
Yeah,
highest divergence. That's a real
yeah.
point of extremely high divergence right there.
So I think that's another thing that that we're not getting right. We're not creating a repulsion and an attraction. I think that's for like that boost, right? Like it wants to repel and then throw itself, right? I don't know. That's just a
So
theory.
this reminded me of something else. Sorry, I want to just digress real quick, and I know I get sidetracked. We bring up a lot of information here because you just come. I've forgotten more stuff than half of you will ever learn. Half of these new, well, maybe not all of it. There's a bunch of new people out there that are gonna really kick my butt and take this field over. That's what I'm hoping for. Is just point out what
Yeah,
I feel,
get
what
it
I see is
done.
wrong, and I try to encourage the next generation and show people like this is what even give them lead by example, showing them this is what you don't do. You don't act like a dickhead, and you bully people into trying believe your beliefs because all it does is push people away. Because I did a lot of that for a long time, and people hopefully learn from my mistakes on how not to conduct yourself and handle yourself when you're trying to win people's minds over in the greater field, because you create a lot of but anyways, this guy, I wanted to look up John Powell. Right, so John Powell, and I can't find nothing on John Powell's where's this John M. Powell one? Yes, John M. Powell one. And you want to talk about, you talked about you need to build these things bigger, and that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
This would be the guy I want to get in touch with. He's a friend of mine on Twitter, he does these giant balloon experiments, and he does a lot of stuff with the military for DARPA. He's probably even done stuff already like this already for another company, and can't tell you about it because it's proprietary research and stuff. But look at the size of these balloons that he's building and that he flies. You see this thing on the screen?
It's gonna take a minute.
If it's on my screen yet, up on the
Yeah.
thing. So anyways, he's got these balloons that he's building that are just enormous. Look at the size. So he's got these huge ones that he talks about. But they fly these things around, I guess, out in the desert and do like they rig test rigs to them and do like kinds of experiments with these things. I think they're filled with helium. Not sure, maybe hydrogen. Helium's getting expensive now, apparently.
Yeah. Well, there's good ways you can create helium, right? I have a patent on there for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's xenon and deuterium. It creates a fusion effect, and then it releases helium as a byproduct, as an exhaust.
Really? That's interesting. See?
Yeah, and it takes a little amount of energy too to detonate it. And it's ionized. I believe it's ionized.
But yeah, this guy's interesting. There's a couple more pictures on here that I saved from way back when. I gotta ask him to post them again because they get harder to find on here as time goes by. But he had some pictures of this balloon, like the real big ones and stuff. This is one of them, but he's got one that's way bigger than this that he showed off this one time, and everyone like, I think he took it down because lots of people were like, oh, this is the Phoenix Lights, this is what that thing was, because look at the size of it. But this would be a guy to get in touch with potentially to because you're talking about the larger the coils, the greater the effect, and if that's the case, then this I mean, just look at the thing. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, you could literally like build the device using like what's his face was talking about there, like the MRI type machines, like the coils that they use in those. Like you could literally, if you're creating like 1 to 2 Tesla with those type of machines, right? Like a lot of people don't realize that, and like that's pretty much how much these craft need in order to move with those type of coils. But anyways, on to what the Hill patent where I was.
Yeah, but there might be these things, these EPR machines and these giant magnetic coils to create these super powerful magnetic fields, or like the coils in an NMR machine, right? So an NMR, a nuclear
MRI,
nuclear magnetic resonance imaging machine has these giant magnetic coils in it that you go into this giant magnetic coil machine, and it aligns.
And hope to God you don't have any metal in you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got a little tiny little flake of metal, like even they say like people who worked on welders or people who are in metal fabrication, You know, a lot of times you wear safety glasses, but you get foreign metallic objects in your eye. You'll get like a little tiny iron filing that's like, those guys have trouble. You go in an MRI machine and it rips this piece of metal that's embedded in your body like out. It can cause some damage, man. So,
Yep.
but anyways,
That's why you sign waivers.
yeah. So what it does is the magnetic field aligns the spins, and then it balances them out, and then this thing measures the relaxation times of those spins, figures out what the heck's going on, what's in there, and then creates an image from those spin resonance responses, and that's how the biophysics of an NMRI machine works through literally talking to the nuclear magnetic resonance of different materials and the different atoms that can make up your body and make up this gentleman's knee that they're imaging in this one.
So yeah, here's the back on the hill patent. They even make saucer type craft on here for the for this type of thing. That's an ugly looking fish thing. What the heck is that?
This is my fish saucer. I want it to be a USO as well. We got to go submersible.
Yeah, and that system right here is doing it the opposite way. You shouldn't have air going downward like that. You should have it the opposite way, going up and around, because you want to create a low pressure zone on the top and then a high pressure zone on the bottom.
I know. And you look at all these things, man, that people didn't know about, and then like you get all these. It puts all these UFO reports in the past, in so many years, and kind of in perspective in a lot of ways. So I was like, damn, they were testing and flying some pretty crazy shit. This was what year was this? 59.
59. Yeah, it's always, like I said, the patents, if you actually go through it, everything is tailored to the industrial military complex, really. All these guys are all doing patents for this type of stuff. And then next will be fusion. Everyone's doing everything for fusion. Next will be this. Everyone's doing that. And then like you'll see it. It's just like step by step, all the schools and
so this is where this was like the golden era of anti-gravity research, because this is where like it was like post World War II. We had just like cracked the atomic bomb with the Manhattan Project. We had all this secrecy stovepiping operations in place within the military industrial complex already. There was all this UFO stuff from left over from World War II with the Foo Fighters and then the Kenneth Arnold and Roswell and all that stuff. So this was like the environment that fostered all this stuff. And it's amazing when it all comes out, because it's like this is when they were still looking into a lot of this stuff, and then the space program came, and then a lot of this stuff went top secret because it was being used in the Cold War for the space race. And also but it's interesting what happened with the space race, because what happened, they went to the moon in 69, and then the last mission to the moon was 72, I believe, and we haven't been back since. It's just like what happened back then, and what changed, and was it that the technology just ran out and wasn't good enough, or was it something more? And you have to wonder with when these types of patents and this type of information comes out, like this stuff you've never seen. Like these, I would love to see these failure. If these things were failures, right? As these engineers would like to have us believe,
Let's watch them fail.
Yeah, I'd love to have the watch them fail kind of thing, Like I'd love to watch Thunderfoot get on and be like, nope, this is bullshit because of here's the calculations and we did the experiment and I built this in my laboratory and it doesn't fucking work, I want to see that. That's what, what I mean?
Yep. So here's another little fancy Dan here. A little what do you call that? Oh my God, Venturi tube. And that's almost like the
tube.
Centerpiece. Yeah, it reminds me of like the what they call that? The solenoid coil I was telling you about, solenoid plasma coil. But this one would be feeding ions into it, which is necessary. Anyways, that's Hill's patent. Let's go find another guy.
Yeah. What's John Levesque Sr., do you guys review Victor Schauberger's anti-gravity engine? John, that's called the Repulsine engine. I think Schauberger wrote his. I read Schauberger's books a long time ago, like 2009. I didn't find much of actionable intelligence there when I looked into that stuff. It seemed like a weak link that researchers were trying to make to this World War II stuff, to the Nazis' secret space program stuff. So I'm not so sure about the Schauberger stuff. Have you found anything in the database that relates to Victor Schauberger or any?
Yeah, I got pretty much mainly Walter Schauberger and stuff like that.
Walter?
Yeah, his son. He ran a school. Was it the Johannes Kepler School in Germany, or not Germany, Switzerland, I think, actually.
So cold fusion, people mentioning cold fusion in the comments. Definitely look up Peter Hagelstein's new book. Peter Hagelstein's the MIT researcher that I had covered back in 2011. I went to a public IEP course on cold fusion that was hosted at MIT. It was open to the public. I went and filmed that and posted that on my channel a few years back. You can go, and also I went to the conference and film that for cold fusion. Now I still have a couple, maybe we should post some of those things too. I still have some old stuff from that, but it's old stuff. The field is definitely rich. It's alive. There's real scientists doing real technical, real serious research in cold fusion. It's a very serious topic. That there's been the claims that it was debunked were basically falsified. They didn't get their experiments to the right levels. They've explained what went wrong with those experiments and how to get the experiments to go right. I've seen some of these experiments performed live at some of these demonstrations. I have not been able to get over to Schwartz's lab yet to get any in-depth information on it, but I'd love to whenever that breaks be a part of that, because I've been supporting that whole movement and trying to get people to realize that cold fusion is real and that it needs to be more seriously paid attention to in the future as well. Because Hagelstein's book, though, read that. It explains all the science questions of cold fusion away, and yeah, back to this though. What you're showing right now.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm showing here right now is this is an electrohydrodynamic and magnetohydrodynamic drive, like both of them. But this is for in outer space. It wouldn't work too well in atmosphere. But the idea is it's to teach you exactly how we can store the ions, because Jeremiah keeps telling me these systems lose the ions and then we can't reuse them ever, and it makes the process almost useless. So this actually shows how to contain the ions in space. So here that you create the plasma, and as it see, there's the propulsion phase where the ions are all there, and then when they purge it, they suck the ions back, and then they exhaust the plasma, and then redo the cycle over again, so that you can always contain your ions. And I think if you did this in reverse or split it inside out like a craft, you had the coils on the end, the plates are on the outside and the coils are on the inside. You would eventually it would have the same effect, whereas the one plate would store the ions, while you could purge the plasma from the surface of the craft and then activate it again, then spray out what you need to.
But you still have to accelerate ions and spit them out, kind of like
Well, yeah, you got to seed it, right? That's what they're doing. Probably, I'm assuming they're seeding with what do you call it? Something that wouldn't be toxic. What's that? Potassium. I think that's
it's interesting how it just uses ions. And I'd be curious, what other particles that we could use if we could figure out how to produce them and make them. And I don't know. I just think
there's many other ways. like for like how you're like your idea and how to make the surface plasma polaritons, like that is a fascinating idea because it can literally feel the craft without the need of lasers and shit like that. So that's a great idea.
I know there's a ton of people looking into that idea, and a lot of serious research that's being done. That's the one that's not talked about a lot, you know, and not
Yeah.
you know.
Soon enough, though.
Yeah, I mean it's all. I feel like it's all like coming out. It's just breaking the ice and getting it out there to, and you know, and I feel like I've helped a lot in that process over the years because people are like just starting to research metamaterials now and being like, what the heck is this stuff? And then they find me and they're like, oh my god, this dude was talking about metamaterials back in 2008. You know, like holy shit. And I'm like, I didn't know half of what I know now about all this stuff, but I tell you what, the ride's not over, not by a long shot. Or it's just the beginning.
That we're literally just taking the first steps.
Yeah, this is just breaking disclosure. You know, I'm laughing at this report that you know this Senator Rubio and all these people I think are traitors. You know, but I won't get into that. But they're all talking about this report that came out with 180 days to declassify, and you know the government has 180 days to do this. You know, this Pentagon's UFO unit will make some findings public. So the Pentagon's UFO unit, I want to find out who these people are, so that I can send them my material. You know what I mean? Like these people are idiots if they don't know who I am already, and if they don't, I'm gonna damn well make sure that these people know that have access to our database and our information. You know what I mean? We owe it to our country, and we owe it to like, because if they try to come out in 180 days with some bullshit that doesn't talk about any of this stuff and doesn't include the real history, you know, I don't know. I'm going to make a report for my senator, and I want to make a report that I'm going to put together that I'm going to go and deliver to my senators and film myself doing it and encouraging my entire audience to go and do the same thing so that we can get this out to our politicians so that these people can't lie about this anymore. They can't put another report out. I'm really curious to see what this report's going to say that's going to come out in another 180 days. Because I tell you what, 180 days wouldn't be long enough for me to write a report. You know, and the report I feel is still being written, and it needs to be, you know, I don't know, more public. It's just crazy. So how are they going to have access to half this stuff? You know what I mean? This research is like took 180 days, dude. I've been doing this research for 16 fucking years, man. Unless these guys have been in the Pentagon for 16 years doing this research, and they're just going to spend 180 days figuring out what they can declassify and make public. Well, I tell you what, you can declassify a lot more than you think because this stuff's already public. It's, you know, a lot of this stuff's already public thanks to channels like this. And, you know, us talking about the companies that are making this stuff, showing this stuff off. All right, so we get the density right here. Liquid metals density, 6.8 grams per cubic centimeter. So if it's 6.8 grams per cubic centimeter, and we have a shot size of 300 grams, then, sorry, I'm bad with it. So do I join this call? Oh, shit. I think Sean dropped out. Here, meet now. I gotta go and start a Zoom call then. I'm gonna start a Zoom call, guys. Should go on live on Discord or something, but here I'm gonna start a Zoom invite. All right, guys, I'm gonna start a Zoom call because Zoom is working for us, and we this is my first time using Skype for a conference thing. And as soon as Jeremiah and other people started to join, we had an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy the invite link and I'm gonna send it over to here for you guys, because I don't know what's going on with it. I'll send it to the meeting. Here, you guys can join our cloud, and I'll let you back on because I lost him when everyone tried to join. But I know that Zoom will work, and Zoom was working. So, oh no. All right, we're admitting them to the call right now. I just want to bring this over and get some other stuff done. All right, let's get rid of this.
Yo.
Rocket ships and laser propelled light craft. So this is cool. They can use this. So they could use this. You showed that patent to, like, they can basically use that to take planes out of the air or fly them around, or can take complete control of them almost. You know, there's even patents showing like how to take total control of airplanes, right?
Yeah.
So let me see if I can get you on patent here.
It's right here. No, that's not it. You can hear me, right?
What's up, Jeremy? What's up, Sean?
All right, right on. Yo.
What's up, guys? I'll be back in just a sec.
So you can hear me, right, Jeremy?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Yes, I can. Absolutely.
All
Okay, I'm texting to the people that were in the other call because I invited some other people. Why don't you close out of that so it doesn't pop up on your thing? There we go. All right, so Kremeyer. Yeah, there we go. Oh, keep it going. Test Rabbit gave us $5, man. Thank you. Keeping us motivated to keep going. So all of this shit
that's
is
the one I
connected.
wanted. Yeah, right. This is the one you want.
Cold Fusion, was it Peter Finkelstein? No, Peter Hagelstein. Okay, sorry. Yep, Peter Hagelstein. For the Cold Fusion book. Yeah, sorry. I cite a source and then I gotta remember to follow through with that kind of stuff. So Peter Hagelstein. Let me find his new book. MIT Cold Fusion. Yep, this is the guy. So this is a terrible article. Notice the first one that comes up on Google's NSA search results. They censor a lot of the good searches for a lot of stuff on Google. Google's the number one search engine that people use to find information. And it's the number one weapon that the information war for hiding information and disguising information. So they'll put all this stuff in the beginning, and even the Wikipedia article that tries to discredit Mr. Hagelstein or make him look like look bad. But a lot of these other links is where you want to get to and really research. That's not a sad story at all. It's a success story. And it's inspirational because he went through. It's a sad story. Well, it's kind of sad because he basically like just destroyed his career to pursue this, because nobody believed in him. But MIT was like, look, this is still like I guess science, and it's important. We have someone in our university that's still looking into this and still working on it. And what better, no one else really wants to stick their neck out there like this, but this quiet, soft-spoken gentleman, Peter, was the guy to do it, and he's kicked butt at it. He's really he's got a new book out. Let me find that and link people to that. It's not the book. It is a new book. I think you probably find it on Amazon. So applied quantum and statistical mechanics, very good stuff. Bremsstrahlung radiation. He's got the theory down on how to explain away all the criticisms of cold fusion and where the radiation goes and where the energy goes and these lattice structures and how the lattice structure is key to the process of the what's going on and the physics of this, the additive wave and entanglement, and it's something that science should be looking deeper at and trying to understand better rather than ridiculing and saying, oh, it doesn't exist, it's not real. Anyone who researches that is stupid, and it's kind of like, it's sad that what has been done. But we're breaking through that with this channel, hopefully, to try to like take taboo to subjects and push them out into the mainstream and say, hey, look at guys, it is okay to research this stuff. MIT originally trashed cold fusion, but yeah, I guess they're doing this is a different people, different scientists. Okay, so the whole MIT debacle where they trashed cold fusion, that's in the past, and I don't want to bring that up or talk about that. But that was revolved around two gentlemen, and it was who was the guy? I have his book. Well, there was Eugene Malov, right? Eugene Malov was one of the scientists, okay? And he had it out with the other guy. He had published this, and then the editors or someone, he would put this all through, and then, like, I guess at the last minute they changed it and debunked it. And I forget who the people at MIT were that were responsible that did that, but it was people that were worried about the scientific, cold fusion had been really discredited, and they needed to follow suit with their colleagues over at Caltech. And it was really a political thing. These universities get a lot of funding from the Department of Energy and Department of Defense, which are generally kind of like to control new energy technologies and stuff like this. So this is very interesting what's going on. So anyways, there was a paper with 3 names, then a separate Japanese guy. MIT busy was smoozing with Epstein's money. Yeah, that's true. MIT got wrapped up with that Epstein scandal and that whole thing. Yeah, that is crazy. Oh yeah. All right. Hey, why don't you continue with that deep dive, Sean? I think I'll give you the floor. And
yeah, if any of the other guys want to join in, they can say their opinion. So yeah, this is magnetohydrodynamic control through the tip of the rocket and the bottom. Showing different circuits for what they do. That's just a little tidbit. Here's a real good one. This is a magnetohydrodynamic accelerator or converter duct for reducing the disadvantages of the Hall effect. Yeah, pretty much this is an insulator and a conductor, insulator, conductor kind of thing going on. It's supposed to... So it's an accelerator and converter duct for reducing the disadvantages of the Hall effect. That means it's pretty much just magnetohydrodynamic electrical converter and accelerator.
Interesting the way it works.
Yeah, it is.
It places the conductors and the insulators kind of on a transverse angle to the flow of the liquid there, so that will create I suppose that's what creates the drive. That's really cool.
It's so similar how it's so interesting how so many people were working on the same kinds of things, but and doing different, similar approaches, different applications, but similar. It's like very much connected. A lot of the research these people. What was the year on that one?
Oh, that was 69. Actually, 67 was when it was filed.
Huh. It's interesting how the parts and the refinement get smaller and smaller. You started with that thing in 1913 with those big giant coils, which are like giant ribs on this aircraft, right? And then it goes down to smaller and smaller, like layers of these components, down to the point where it's these little tiny bands,
Yeah.
Now on this, and it's kind of cool how the process goes in this miniaturization,
It's pretty wild. And the fact that these patents are this old and this detailed is pretty wild. I mean, if they're doing this back in the I don't know when that was, but I know these are not new patents.
So we all know the ARV, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's got a little taste of that.
Classic.
Yeah, this, as we know, that's from Google. If anyone wanted to get that. Try to go back to that patent. So here's the patent for it, right here by J.F. King Jr. Now, Thomas Townsend Brown, Agnew Bonson, and James King Jr. all worked together in that lab, doing the experiments together. And, this is what their lab assistant made. It's a patent. In 1964, of course, because everything's all tuned and what they want is what they get.
It's pretty wild. So what do you, like, looking at that, what do you think the basic structure of that is? It looks like a cone, like a cone exterior. Like, scroll back up there. They kind of show the cross section or like what's inside of it. So some type of like a conical shell with what probably looks like some type of disc there is like one of the.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the bottom part is. Number 18 is let's see, let's take a look here real quick. Number 18.
What's it? What is it? What is this thing say it's supposed to go through? Is this through air or water or?
Oh, this is the alien reproduction vehicle right here.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay,
right
so this guy says it's a lens law effect. Greg Chase, that King patent is a lens law effect. It has nothing to do with gravity control, inertia quenching, nothing. So, okay, cool.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, it's just a lens
That's
law
because
effect,
it's just gonna fly off like that, right? That's what they're telling you in the patent, but it's not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it won't
Anyway,
work,
so they so they have capacitors on the bottom for help steering the thing and also controlling the coils, which you also see in this pattern right here, right? You see the capacitor plates help creating levitation, and they're going to help control the coils. You'll see the slant here. If you go through Bonson stuff, Agnew Bonson. How come I don't have Bonson in? Oh, that's because he's not in this folder, and he should be though.
Sweet.
Bonson's in here.
Yeah, well, I
So this is Bonson's lab.
it's cool that you get like all the papers with all the technical details too, though. You know what I'm saying?
So these are the pictures that you were looking for. This is the highest quality video you can get. See, look, there's all the peeps.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that's what you were asking for earlier. There you go. See, it's silence footage. His daughter filmed this when she was a kid. Yeah, it's a silent film though.
You seeing this, Jeremiah? Where's Jeremiah?
Wow.
Why isn't he in this call, dude?
That's wild.
Yeah, where is Jeremiah? Jeremiah was talking.
He was here for a second, then he wasn't.
Yeah, he was.
Anyways,
Oh,
yeah.
man, this is
So yeah, go through the Agnew Bonson, that lab stuff, and that was
Agnew Bonson. So we got some names now. This is cool.
Yeah. So not only that, I have a document for Agnew Bonson that was done by your best friend John Wheeler, and and he praises him.
Dude,
So-
Wheeler is key. He is key. I kept telling you this, and I'm not wrong, dude. He's like the Godfather physicist. That if there ever was the guy that Lou Elizondo went to get hired into the UFO program, it would have been frickin' Wheeler.
So here's another patent from the Bonson Company, and I'm sure that looks pretty nice, eh? A little hypersonic nozzle.
Okay, I gotta link him to the call. I'm an idiot. They're idiots. It's posted in the frickin' Skype window like mad times, bro.
It's pretty wild, these patents, man. They're just everywhere. You just gotta go digging, though. Some of them, though, have like certain things others don't. Like, for example, there's the 3 ball capacitors for the electrical thrust producing of it.
Sweet.
I want to see
There's-
somebody train an AI to take old patents and extract 3D models out of the images.
Oh, weird,
Caesar,
yeah.
I guess.
Like I know
Jeremiah and I
that's
were talking about that.
the trick is getting the right data in and the right data set, the right training set. But if you can do it, then you should. I mean, theoretically, you should be able to throw any decent patent at it and should be able to from the text and the images extrapolate something that's at least more interesting to look at than the patent itself.
Oh yeah, so King is also in this video too. You'll see him as the young guy in the background. He's the youngest man in the background. King is.
Interesting.
So Thomas Townsend Brown, Agnew Bonson, and King work together, and you'll see it. And
King, what's King's first name?
James King
James King.
Jr.
Do you have any, and so you got all these papers for all this stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I could these guys like lab of personal notebooks. It'd be even better if we could get these dudes. I mean, they're all dead now, but it'd be great if we could have got these guys on friggin' Apex.
I know Stan Deo gives away like on his data stick. He has hit the lab notes of that video, and he has the pictures clipped out, so you know exactly where in the video his notes are pertaining to. So that's going to be pretty epic. Once
Okay,
I get that out there.
Jeremiah is back. I'm
Good.
admitting him now. Anna, I'm shouting out to Anna Boulet in the Anna Bolney in the live chat. What is up, Anna? Thank you for joining us. Test Rabbit, do you want to guys see patents? Cesar Paez, yes, we were. I wanted to get back into this because we started talking about this earlier with me and Jeremiah, talking about John St. Clair and Cesar Paez, and that's like that's the good stuff, man. We'll finish up here on some of this stuff, and then we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, I kind of missed out on the last one. You guys were.
Dude, I spent all day getting my audio fixed so that people could hear live and hear like the whole stream, and I figured out finally what it was in OBS, and it's you have to go into this audio.
What you mean to say, Jeremy, is Sean finally told you what it was, and you listened to him, and it worked first time. Well, that's really what happened.
What happened first is me and Travis like tried for about an hour, and I got frustrated, and I was about to give up, and then Sean came to the rescue, and right as I was about to just throw in the towel and be like, "Fuck it, just fuck it," and then Sean's like, "No, dude, this is what you do. It's something so stupid and simple. It's like, no wonder you have to go to fucking college for 4 years and get a degree in audio engineering to learn how to turn it back to default."
Yeah, and still not be able to have the damn thing work. Oh, it's fun. OBS is always some kind of trouble, and they changed their interface too between revisions. So
I swear it was the update. I was working fine, and then I did that update, and I'm like, never updating this shit again. Once I get it working, that's it.
Yep.
So this is a pretty cool patent from Thomas Townsend
Inertial
Brown.
dampener. This thing is cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy this patent. It's he puts in like flaked what was it? I believe it was paramagnetic material in there. It could be liquid
or magnetic materials. This thing is super awesome. So how it works is it's got either coils or it can use electric fields, either one, and it can change the viscosity of the fluid mixture that's inside of it. So if there's different levels of vibration, like with most vibration dampeners, they have to sort of be built for a certain range in which the vibration takes place, so that the moving mass, which counterpoises the amount of motion, will be correctly balanced. That's like, say, on top of a skyscraper, you have dampeners. They have to be of a specific weight. Well, this thing is super awesome because it doesn't have to be of a specific weight. Vibrations of various frequencies can enter this thing, and then can change the viscosity of the fluid in each zone within this machine and effectively change its frequency response to specifically tune and dampen out any harmonics that are present in the system. It's really unique.
And very excellent.
That's
Meaning
wild.
your machine can't vibrate apart too if that was a problem.
Exactly. You could put this thing, basically, you could put a few of these things on a tank, and effectively you could sit inside the tank and not be able to feel the engine running.
Wow. Are these things? Have these things been made, like actually constructed anywhere that you're aware of, or are these?
Oh,
Yeah, these have been constructed. You actually see variations of these in a linear form. So you're familiar with like pneumatic cylinder compressors, pneumatic rams that you see on construction equipment. You fill them with oil on one side or the other, and they can move a linear rod in and out. So they have a system kind of like that has a magnetic fluid inside skyscrapers. So when they flex, they don't want them to flex too quickly to put stresses, but they'll have electromagnets around the outside of these tubes to change the viscosity of the fluid flowing through those in a linear way. They're not designed for vibration dampening. They're designed for motion dampening, for the suppression of making the skyscrapers not sway in the wind.
Right.
But basically, they work exactly the same way as that patent. They're just a linear version of it, which technically means they probably could, the patent, I'm sure, was well up, and expired by the time that company started to use the technology. But it does exist now. It is being used in suppression of vibration and swaying on skyscrapers.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
lots of people think they know, and I'm reading the live chat. I just want to engage with our audience out there. He said, how come, what's to stop someone who knows from making a UFO manual and stuff? And there's lots of people who claim to know making UFO manuals, like, this one from Eric Davis that I just showed on the screen and I posted a link to in the live chat. So, there's lots of people that are, saying that they know how to do this stuff. And that's kind of like a problem, because we want to try we want to try all of them, and only, do any of them work? And that's what why we have a lab, and where we're trying to figure that out, man. It's just, that's part of
Well, the one on your
operation.
screen works. That one works excellent. I have 16 versions of that, and every single one of them works.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this
You can
stuff,
make sound with them.
Will that
can
work in a
do lot of
vacuum,
fluid
though?
with them.
Yeah, that works.
No, they don't work in vacuum.
They don't?
They're motion control systems
Right.
for fluid. They
Oh,
work
right.
with the atmosphere, or they work with other fluids. They can work with various gases, but they are definitely fluid control systems.
Okay, and also there's the cool thing I wanted to show you about this. This is also a Canadian patent. You can't get this as an American patent. Down here, he shows that you can use this as a speaker and a microphone.
Yes, you can. It's
Yeah,
really neat.
You can
So
use
with the microphone version, it basically has a continuous ionizing current flowing from the corona wire towards the collector on the back, and any little changes in the air density or motion of the ions within that flowing ion current will create a load change on the circuit, which is then detected by that part 223 there and siphoned off to an amplifier. And in the speaker version, the ion current is modulated, increased or decreased to produce sound waves.
right there.
Wow.
And surprisingly, they do bass really well, which is, Sean was like, I was going to ask you that last time we talked about this. And yeah, these things can do pretty low frequencies. They actually don't respond that well to high frequencies, because there's a distance that the ions have to travel from the corona wire towards the collector. And that distance means that they can't respond extremely fast to high frequencies, because the transit length and the transit time is too long. But ironically, they work well for bass, because they can produce a continuous deflection. Unlike a speaker cone that can sort of only move so far and then it stops, these things can continuously move the air in a singular direction, which is kind of interesting. So it opens up possibilities for other types of acoustics or standing waves to be produced.
My favorite.
Yeah, apparently also
So-
Tom Bearden's favorite and Stan Deo's favorite and a lot of people's favorite, standing waves.
When I was up at MIT doing the cold fusion stuff, I went to a bunch of other lectures that were going on there at the same time, and one of the open things that I saw was this guy doing he was doing a presentation on the aerodynamics of pollen spores, which I thought was super interesting, because like pollen spores, are basically like bioengineered to catch the wind and to travel super far. They're like these aerosponge materials, but nanomaterials. at the same time. And if you look at them under SEM, they're hollow. You can literally blow through a lot of them. They're like these hollow balls, and they're fascinating nanomaterials. And this guy was doing research for Harvard and presenting it at MIT. And I forget the guy's name now, but we could probably trace this down if we do some research into it. I could probably find the guy who it was. He was a I believe a Syrian or Middle Eastern type gentleman. But
All right.
in any case,
So-
I want to
Yeah. So what I got here is really cool. I showed Jeremiah this not too long ago, and it's the Thomas Townsend Brown petrovoltaic battery. And we're not too sure on if this is gonna work or not. Like, I'm sure it does if he's making it work, but it uses tungsten carbide and some form of like plastic or wax you can use in here. And what you do is you heat up the product and then you hit it with a charge, and then as it cools, you leave the charge on until it's finally done cooling and curing. It stretches the dipoles and realigns them, and then you take the high voltage direct current off the supply, and it's supposed to have self potential, and it's supposed to be far greater than like the charge you put in it because it's stretching the dipoles.
So that one's interesting. It was interesting enough that I've got the tungsten carbide fine powder on order, and hopefully that will be coming in by the end of the month. Will be nice, but it's only come from one spot in the world, so I have no idea how long it will take. We'll find out. Mark and I spent a good number of days screwing with various mixtures to try to make various electrified cells, and in all of our tests, we failed to make a consistent electret. We have many of them sitting in foil right now, and when I visit next time, I'll go ahead and bring an E-field meter with me, which we didn't have at the time, and try to see if any of those electrets actually worked and still have some charge. But so far, man, it is an incredibly hard task to make an electret that holds a charge. But we're going to find out if this tungsten carbide will give us any advantage or not.
Yeah, we got to talk to John Hutchison, figure out what he did with those batteries,
Well,
because
this
that's a lot to do with what he did.
This is where I think the problem runs into near field and far field effects and about electromagnetic recycling, because a lot of this, you have these fields that are lost to the environment as RF, just remote frequency radiation and whatnot. So in these near field things, this is like, again, that terahertz limit. This is why the terahertz is important. I'm starting to realize is that it's that limit where the photonics meets the electronic structure, and that you can have these near field effects be almost purely, they take over the far field effects, and you can keep these fields trapped to the environment and to the surfaces of these materials much better. And that's all about shrinking it down. Like I said, you notice this theme where it goes from 1913 with these these big coils, and then their experiments, they find that like they're building it smaller and smaller, and it's going down to the point of nanotechnology, and that's where I think it needs to get to in order, it's on the atomic level. That's how these people who are analyzing these pieces from Roswell think that Roswell craft was designed.
Well, yeah, if you could create like a standing acoustic wave, a 3D one, and literally create an entire acoustic scaffolding for like a material if you really wanted to. And that would pretty much be almost atomically if you had the right computers and the right AI.
We might be able to do it in space too if we can get Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the one right now who's got the access to the space stuff, and really, if we could get him on this and get more, I want to get more resources. I want to get more intel. I've already been tagging him with stuff and trying to get him interested in and share. I shared that wormhole paper that we just posted in the live chat. I shared that with Elon on Twitter, trying to get him to like, look at this stuff, like take it seriously. Like this is I sent him a whole bunch of links on the squeeze light stuff that's mentioned in that paper about the negative energy states and whatnot. This is serious stuff, Elon. Like we're trying to get. It'd be great if I could get him on the show, because I really was curious, why he wants to go straight to the Borg instead of to Zefram Cochrane first. He makes no talk about Zefram Cochrane. He's just all like, we must assimilate. resistance is futile. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want
I know, man. I
it's
love the possibility of Neuralink. It's just an incredible idea to access information much more quickly, but at what
well,
cost?
he's
Would be
got a
all-
lot of good points with it too, Jeremiah. Is that the fact is that there's too much data. We found that with our database operation, there's too much data now, and
There is.
we need like AI to help us to store it and sort it all because it's just too much for any one human being to handle in their one
Yeah.
lifetime. It's
Well,
like
and there are other things too that we could really use AI for. I don't know if we need to go to the extreme of sticking wires on our brains, but think about how many experiments we've done where there are fast little motions. I mean, think about the Woodward experiment. If AI could analyze that data and have a high-speed frame-by-frame reference and link it to every single data point, I mean, just imagine how much extra data it could derive about operating that thing. And then if you gave it the control to change parameters and adjust, you could find solutions to incredible things that are like impossible frequency matches at impossibly tight resolutions in minutes instead of years.
hey, give me a minute. I gotta go answer this phone call. Why don't you guys talk and show patents for a little bit? I'm gonna
Yeah.
give me 5 minutes. Like,
All right. So right here we got well, I'm sure as everyone has seen before, this is pretty much charging the leading edge and having an electrode on the side here where the charge can collect and it can help break the reduce aerodynamic drag and stuff.
So I've tested this. I built a small wing that was 8 inches length and about 2 inches from front to back, so about 2 inch cord. And in test, I used a very, very thin tungsten wire electrified to about 15,000 volts peak, and it was hooked up to an RC controller. So in that 8 inch wing, we ended up getting roughly about 2 watts of power per gram of force. But interestingly, the amount of lift that was being produced by the forward force, which I think we hit a peak of, what was it, like 4 something grams peak force on that wing. Anyways, the amount of lift that it was producing for 4 grams of forward force was significantly higher than what you would expect. And it also did it statically, meaning the wing didn't have to be moving through the air in order to generate the upwards force, which is kind of interesting. So these systems really do work, and they give you a lot better efficiency flowing through the air because you don't have hardly any of the drag, and your boundary layer becomes so tight against the wing that you just don't have vortices forming.
Fascinating. Excellent. Yeah. More pictures. We all love the pictures.
Oh yeah.
All right.
But yeah, with Hill's plane, it's a much superior system because instead of relying on the ionic airflow, he's basically controlling it section by section across the entire surface of the wing.
Yeah, I was showing Jeremy that one.
Yeah, I watched that. I was glad that you were sharing that information because
I wish you were on. You could have
Yeah.
made it. You can explain things way better than I can.
well, didn't have the links. Jeremy took forever to finally get them over, so the entire time I'm just like sitting there posting messages nobody's seen.
Yeah. So we got this is another patent. Too bad it's French, but it's another patent that's really interesting.
What the heck does this thing do?
It's Page's patent. He made a little. See, he made a little experiment here.
I do love the experiment. So what is this thing that we're looking at here? What is that?
He was trying to figure out a way how to make a flying disc. That's just a picture that they took of him, and I'm going to show you his patent.
Let's
I can
take a
find
closer
it.
look at that. That looks
Yeah.
familiar. I'm pretty sure I've gone through all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you
I've
did
not
too.
seen it in a while.
Well, I can't do it like that. Damn.
Electromagnetic Magnus effect. Well, that's interesting. That reminds me of the Aether propeller.
Mm.
All right, let's take a
Yeah,
look at
so
some of the
that here it
diagrams.
is right here.
Power source 9. Wires going up to some parts here. Can you due to the resolution issues, let me just see if I can see it better on YouTube. Yeah, I'd have to take a look at the patent and get the English translation to start going over how this thing is supposed to work.
Well, it's on Rex Research.
Yeah, maybe that would be a better link to go over because then we can actually take a look at some of the labeled parts. Plus, he's got them laid out nicely.
Yeah. He has obviously some sort of solenoid coil thing going on here. Capacitor plates, I'm assuming. That looks like a Clysotron, I'm assuming. The toroid.
Not sure. Again, without taking a look at exactly what each part is labeled as,
Yeah.
it'd be much easier to figure out how this thing works just seeing the patent in English.
But that looks like the 5 frequency. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. I don't know. Actually, that doesn't. Never mind. Oh, yeah, this was interesting because I remember Stan Deo was talking about a guy who was explaining how like they had these pancake coils that were bent like this on a craft,
Whoa,
and
awesome.
some old guy presented it to him, and he ran out of there real quick once his wife came in wondering where he was, like what was taking him so long. So I wonder if it was actually Paige who actually was there. That would be fascinating if I should bring that up to him and ask him if this is the old man you saw? You know, that one picture of him with that little levitating disc right there. Is that the guy that ran away from you? That old man you were talking about?
That's funny.
Yeah, that's cool though,
There he
because
is.
they got a nice little setup here, right? Like it's clean, you know.
It looks like a good time in the lab.
Yeah.
This is like they're trying to appeal to the space program, or I don't know. This is like whoever drew this was definitely like reading Buck Rogers comics as a kid, you know, growing up.
Oh, yeah, Paige. I got his book too, just so I had it because it's pretty much.
To me, it looks like there's 3 control coils in that system with 3 separate external electrodes that control the electric fields, and they're trying to run themselves in phase so that you get a circulating field or a vortex field around that craft.
That's fascinating. This is so cool, man.
Yeah, like you can't hide the fact that it's there.
No?
That's like in that patent that you call the ARV patent. It's a MHD craft, and each of those rings that's around it contains a coil that has a magnetic flux going through it, but each ring is independently hooked up to a voltage source simultaneously as well. So what happens is on the top, there's this corona emitting wire. It looks like a spiky little wire kind of surrounding that thing like a loop with all these little fine tendrils coming out of it. And are you going to pull that up again?
Yeah, I'm just doing that right now.
Yeah, let's pull that up again. Let's talk about that one because I wanted to get on and explain what that was. It's a really great idea. It's not gravity at all. Yeah, as Greg said, and absolutely he's right. It has nothing to do with gravity, but it is a phenomenal MHD system. So on the top there, you have this corona spinning ring that looks like part 21. It produces ions that then flow down towards rings 14, 15, and 16. And then the air directed or accelerated by those 3 rings is pushed over shroud 23, which operates sort of like the Coanda effect and tries to pull the entire shroud outwards, stabilizing the craft. So each of those 3 rings is fired in sequence, 14, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, in series. They're 3-phase. And so they grab onto, with a magnetic flux running through each of those rings to keep the ions constrained in a tight boundary against them. They electrically push the ions past themselves and accelerate them down past skirt 23. Now, as the corona ring 21 loses charge, the entire craft begins to charge up. So at some point, it has a very high potential, and it takes much less energy for it to levitate itself if it's charged to an opposite potential as that of the ionosphere up high in the atmosphere, because it will electrostatically attract to the ionosphere, reaching several megavolts potentially. So I would love to build this thing because it's really fundamentally simple. It does require an onboard 3-phase magnetic control system that has high current requirements, but you could do it with a 150 horsepower engine. And it does require high electric fields, which you could easily use a Cap&D style 3-phase Tesla coil setup, or just 3 tuned transmitters with quarter wave helical resonator secondaries on them to produce the voltages necessary. It's not particularly complex, though, really. At its core, it's just electric and magnetic fields running in sync to move a really large volume of air, even if the atmosphere is really thin, and to do it with absolutely no moving parts whatsoever. Sorry, I know that was a lot. I hope I didn't lose everybody there.
Oh, that was no.
Nah, it's I was just thinking about the similarities between this and so much other stuff that we've looked at tonight, and just, you know, how people tried so many different things, you know, and different variations of these things and different combinations of these things, you know.
Oh yeah, so many of these things relate to each other. Hill's airplane works exactly the same way as this thing. It just runs the entire thing along the surface of the wings instead of around these rings. The difference is Hill's airplane doesn't use the magnetic component in this system, which the other patent that Sean was showing after this, he's saying, no, the one Jeremiah likes better. That one actually does use the magnetic component like Hill's later patent of this flying craft. So he was on board with it. Like he knew that you could use magnetic fields to get better control. He just simply didn't apply them in his earlier patent.
Okay, so hey, well, I wanted to also show the that video with the rotating magnetic fields, how they can basically, you can get quantum locking and superconductor levitation.
Yeah, that's the one right there. This is the one that takes and makes use of installed permanent magnets within the wing to grab onto the ions and pull the boundary layer super tight so you get really good coupling to that mass plasma flow. Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Yeah, if we can get this video up, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull a couple. I want to pull one thing up first. We'll get that up. It's a guy called the Old Scientist, and he posted a couple videos recently. He hadn't posted, I don't think, for a while.
I haven't seen his recent stuff.
So he posted a couple things on proof of concept for scalar waves and what is a scalar wave network and a thesis on some scalar wave stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Want to do we'll have to dig into that and run some of the experiments that he was doing. I think they're pretty straightforward and well within our capabilities in our laboratory. So we'll get to that in a second. But it was the video. Who was that by? It was quantum locking without superconductors, right?
Yeah. I was just
the Action Lab, I believe.
Action Lab, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We were
And he
screwing
did a
around with
black-
that shit a while ago.
He did a black paint that was blacker than Fanta paint, and he painted an entire room. That was today. He did that. And
Hey,
and he
everybody, today
filmed
I'm going to
like,
be
what
showing
it was
you
like to be inside the room.
Right, the coils are pulsed out of phase.
So he's got a magnet on the end of a Dremel tool, and because he's spinning it at high speed, you can get this quantum locking effect with rotating magnetic fields.
I want to remind you that you can do this without any rotation at all if you use coils to do the same exact type of field. You just need a fast rotating field with a generally single pole.
Okay.
And you need to make that magnet chase the pole around and never catch up to it.
And I want to remind people that the maglev technology uses a rotating disc that's aluminum. It's not even magnetic, and it just uses the eddy currents.
Yeah, dude. You gotta love the maglev. You have to appreciate Lathway's magnetic river concept and his amazing demonstration videos of the early technology before he flew out there to help him design this system. People have no idea that Eric Lathway invented this.
No, and that he did the anti-gravity research for like the next decade and a half at least after.
Yeah, at Chris Spaghetti, it actually works better if it's pulsed on the voltage side. You need the magnetics to be continuous because you don't want to ever lose your grasp on the ions. But if you pulse the electric field, you'll actually get a lot better coupling because the scalar potential will have a higher volts per meter. So yeah, pulsing does work quite well when it comes down to E-field control or EHD. It's superior to sine wave.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about that in the Hill patent here. That waveform.
Yeah. That waveform was That waveform is a control field, a switching control field, plus an ionizing impulse. And that ionizing impulse gives you better coupling and also produces ions at each step. So this wing produces the plasma that it accelerates instead of having to source it with a corona wire at the front of the wing, like we looked at in that B-52 style patent where it's supposed to reduce the drag on the leading edge of the wing. In this system, each of these electrodes produces its own plasma, which then is accelerated towards the next electrode down the line. And when that plasma decays, it's re-enhanced by the next electrode in line.
Yeah, and I was explaining about how the system also has a form of repulsion and attraction.
Correct. Yeah. From one side,
right there.
From one electrode, it repels the plasma it just created, and to the other electrode behind it, it attracts it towards. And it uses the magnets to keep the motion of the plasma in nice little loops over each electrode section, so that it can't escape and fly away.
Again, that's
the,
like the near field, the trapping of the near field. This must have
It's-
been when they were realizing that was like a key to making this work.
Yeah, and then you got like little. This almost looks like a 2D array of like little spikes coming up. Like
Yeah, you
would
see it down
want.
there in figure 40 and 42. That's where you'd want that nice little impulse laid on top of your modulation waveform.
So if you were thinking like of the skin,
Right,
that
they have
had-
these like little blades or little needles coming out of it.
that you can control the tips and the energy at the tips, positive or negative. And yeah, of course.
It
we
does
see
require a change to the way that we would have to build the aircraft, though. Like, we can't just stick this on any aircraft and have it work, because the wings need to be made of an insulating material on the surface instead of a conductor. And the paint is not thick enough to do that. It's also not robust enough. So there is, like, you could theoretically do it with a technology where you could literally lay over the entire surface of these little points that were built into an insulator and just mount them on top of the wings of conventional aircraft. And they could probably be made pretty thin thanks to today's modern, very, very high dielectric withstand materials. So it's possible to augment a regular plane using that technology, I would imagine.
Okay, let's go back
Right.
to some other juicy stuff. All right. Yeah, this is Eric Lathwaite stuff. As we know, there's the gyro propulsion, and then the mag lift, just right over here.
So
Mag lift patent.
this was another thing I came across a video this morning showing this friggin' machine too. I'll get into that in a second. If anyone,
Yeah, wow, what is that?
you see it on the.
Oh, that thing. Geez, what, you found information about this thing?
I watched a whole video on it this morning, and now I have to go back and find it. And I meant to bring it up. I had it up, but I don't know what happened to it. It just was another YouTube window that was open, and I closed those because they take up a lot of memory sometimes when I'm closing windows to try and free up memory when I start getting overloaded.
Yeah, that thing is crazy.
But apparently it's some kind of way that they make these super magnetic fields and then are able to hold them tightly together and lock them really tightly together, because there's obviously it's designed to hold a lot of forces, and it looks like there's magnetic components in here, unless it's like some kind of hydroelectric kind of gear or component. I haven't, like, there was a whole explanation for it, and I don't know if it was bullshit or not, because it seemed like bullshit when I watched the video, and I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to do a little bit more my own research into it. I don't like to, like,
It looks like two magnetic yokes. It could be anything, but
Right.
it looks like two magnetic yokes.
yeah, so this guy, because I didn't trust everything this video was saying, because it was saying that these things were being dug up in like ancient sites, and that there was
The softball coils.
Yeah, that's a good name for him. It does
That's
look like that.
that's what it is. The softball coil looks like. It looks like a transformer. Not only that, it looks like a resonant coil, like you would use for forced resonance to ring it.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? So where can I find some more information on this? I was hoping someone, there's got to be something. Like, I'm gonna bring this up tonight's stream because there's
Well,
got to
if,
be.
if you look, you know what's really trippy? If you actually go into those pictures and you look in the shadows, you'll actually see like little faces of what looks like birds. It's really wild.
Hmm.
And
That's what
and
Derek
the black
Gold
and
asked the
white.
question to, are there different ways of pulsing the energy? Yeah, there are 3 different ways that are easily obtainable to pulse the energy. The first way is back EMF. This would be an example. Flyback transformer from a television would store some high current, low voltage, and then release that circuit, causing a high voltage, low current, and a pulse. You could then also use a transformer. That's the second method, where you just have a high winding ratio. You put low voltage waveforms in the base and get high voltage waveforms out the secondary. Or the third method is you can have an already present high voltage, and then you can use high voltage switches like rectifier tubes, triodes, or even MOSFETs in a long chain operated optically to turn on and off the high voltage outputs. So there are 3 main ways to do it.
So what is
But,
that thing, man? I gotta find that video. With
Well,
the,
yeah, I'm gonna try to find that NASA softball coil so you
It
can
was
look at it.
It was the NASA thing. It was a NASA softball. Yes, he's
Oh,
got
let
it.
me look it up. Hold on. I have it
Alright, cool,
somewhere.
'cause
I've
this
seen
dude-
it somewhere.
This dude was taking these pictures and they're making them look old, and then they're saying that this stuff was dug up from like these sites, and that it's this alien artifact, and that they've tried to recreate it.
I don't know.
I'm like, there's
If
got to
the-
be some more logical explanation than this
No,
is like.
well, you have to understand too. On another thing, I found out, which a lot of people don't realize, but asbestos is an amazing dielectric. Terrible, but amazing dielectric.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. And
Tell Mark to pull up some of those tiles in the shop and throw.
but anyways,
We can repurpose all that stuff.
there was this. They used to use it in a lot of electronics and stuff, and then they stopped using it. It's yellow in color, and it kind of looks resiny.
So
and
there's
vibrant.
I want to get into this some
Yeah.
science on this, and we'll talk
Softball
about
coil
this.
should be in here.
Hold up. Let's talk about the different types of because there's different types of asbestos. Okay, if anyone's researched asbestos, there's quite a number of different minerals which are classified as asbestos, but are a lot have a different have similar chemical composition and stuff, but a slightly different physical chemistry or crystalline structures and whatnot. So it's important to understand, that asbestos is a mined material. It's this fibrous crystalline material that is found in the earth in certain places, and
There's a softball coil. Look at that right there.
it's
Whoa,
basically
that
anchor.
really does. Should go back to that.
hold up,
right
I gotta
there.
bring you guys up. So there it is. So I knew this we could find this stuff. So it's called a mirror advanced reactor study, a complex plug configuration. The Mars what? The Mars craft mirror
What?
fusion test facility.
Yeah,
Do
see,
you-
they're plugs and anchors.
Mars
Wow.
and mini Mars.
So, like, the idea is like this was fusion, right? This is
Yeah.
fusion propulsion. So, right here, these are different types of magnetic containments and confined
okay.
plasma, and choking. Yeah, see, like, there's open magnetic confinement example where the exhaust.
Definitely alien technology. I'm
Oh, yeah,
not surprised.
yeah.
This is what they're using. This is what the alien they dug this up. This
Yeah.
is one of those. This is one of those archaeological. digs.
Humalian technology.
I love the science part of this, and I also love just the pop culture, like UFO conspiracy
So-
side
so
of it too, man.
That I didn't realize that's what it's for. So you see how there's a choke here?
Yeah,
Look at these plugs. They act like plugs now. For the solenoid, central solenoid, right? The solenoid cell.
This is
Remember
weird.
how Jeremiah, you and I were looking at that the solenoid cell with the Taiyaki cells on the side, and we were figuring that it literally contained the energy inside the solenoid.
I am trying to remember exactly which one we had looked at.
That was that stuff that those videos from John Hutchison that was on his YouTube, and it got deleted real quick.
Oh, geez, man. Yeah, that's been a while since I've seen that stuff.
Yeah, that was back when you were at Mark's. But anyways, this is what this is reminding me of.
Huh.
Because like there
I
was
should read through that whole paper because that's a really, really interesting setup. I've never seen anything quite like that.
yeah, and then of course the softball coils and chokes and shit, and then you go down. There's more, of course, more meat and potatoes, and
It's just wild you found something on that.
Peter Middleton said,
There's
is
nothing
it-
wild about it. I would look for
we
it.
have a bunch of real high dielectric materials that we've used in a bunch of our tests. He recommends calcium copper titanate.
That's what we were using. Yeah,
yeah.
we've already used that
We've
for
already
brown. and
used that for
we-
brown. But yeah, he even gave it. Yeah, Peter Middleton, thanks for that. And yes, that's for other people should know that. It's a good thing to point out.
Not that expensive either, surprisingly.
Yeah, he's relatively easy to make. He gives the chemical formula and for
Or just buy it. I mean, just buy it. You can buy it 1,000 grams at a
I
time.
know it's
buy it.
the
It's already
Chinese
made for you. Don't waste your time.
Don't waste your unless you have a chemistry lab and you want to be.
Well, I guess.
cool.
I don't know. I think
if you're a
I
chemist,
think we've got a lot to do, and it's really the time to do it. So if it's possible to get a material that is going to cost you, probably less to buy than it is to make, you might
There's
as well just
gotta
go
be-
for it.
there's got to be other materials. Like I was saying, these laser etched in this, they're finding out that it like structure has, everything is structures on the core level of physics. Everything is these structures in space time, and that we exploit these and build these structures. We can exploit the symmetries and build really amazing things. And
Right. I mean, just look at the surface of the metallic glass. I mean, it's an interesting material. It's like it's going to be hard for the webcam to maybe see it. I'll try. But yeah, you can see it's got this very distinct grain surface that's sort of striations along the entire length of the thing, and it's also got tiny little bumps every so often. They're not evenly spaced, but they're frequently spaced in a pretty even way. So I got it stretched tight between these two posts, and I can sort of bend this. And so I'm going to be running an electromagnetic field underneath this, and sort of in the reverse way of a guitar pickup, I'll be vibrating this stuff since it's magnetic, and see if I can get it to sing real loud. And then we'll place some electric fields on it and do a electric field probe pickup to see if we're getting good radiation of those electric fields. So this is kind of what it sounds like. I'll bring it close to the mic so people can hear stretched metallic glass.
See if we can turn to a little speaker or something.
I'm gonna bring Jeremiah.
You're hearing multiple tones. It actually has a wide spectrum spread of tones across the entire surface. And that's why if I put my finger in the center here and I pluck one side, we have a high tone. The other side, we have a low tone. If I hold the sides, we drop the tone, interestingly, even though we're pulling it tighter. So this stuff has interesting grain structure that causes weird acoustics. And it's going to be really interesting when we make what we're talking about making.
Yeah, that stuff's run off of a hot mill on a strip. There's a video by a channel called Thoi Soy 2.
I have the patents for that.
Let me find it real
awesome.
quick. Of course you do.
John. You have everything. You're the data god.
Yeah.
All right, so Thoi Soy 2, if you look up metallic glass, this is the video I inspired me to do a video about talking about Roswell and metallic glass, a material we're not ready for, right? And this is cool because he hypes it all up and stuff. It's got almost a million views now.
Well, I got this on video. I'll also show some bounce test on this stretched type piece of metallic glass. It really returns a lot of the energy. I just got a cap here and I hit it on the side. So it bounces.
Hold up, I gotta bring
pretty
it
good,
back.
and it'll launch something.
Yeah, the flexibility properties of this material are really quite amazing. But he has a video, and you should watch that video, especially if you're interested in the manufacturing process of how they made this stuff, and where to buy it and where you can get it, because that's how I got it.
Yeah, here's the patent for it.
Casting,
Right
that's
there.
awesome. Yep, that is it. Nice job, Sean.
I have a bunch
You
of
gotta
them.
love it. You gotta love it.
I even got the how to make ambiguous powders.
You know what's funny is all these people like make fun of our lab and stuff, and you look at the video where they make this stuff, and it's some dirty industrial like wheel in this shop, and it's just like they expect this like nice, clean, like sanitized, bleached white
State of the art.
laboratory.
Nothing is obtainable. No, it's not like that at all. It's a very practical
Yes.
approach to manufacturing when it comes down right to it.
Yeah, loads and loads of
It's
it.
not a Hollywood lab. It's a real life lab, and they're a little different.
And also, I'll show you the metallic glass powder patents here. These ones are nice.
Metallic glass powder. Powder spray. What does it? Spray it on?
No, it just turns it into ambiguous powder, like ambiguous glass powder.
Oh, I see. For making metallic glass powder.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
like this would be the metal, and then as it comes down, it gets hit with water, high pressure water,
Oh, interesting.
and then it turns into like little particles of ambiguous glass.
Wow, that's wild. I wonder
That's
what kind of
wild.
crazy things you could do with something like that.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking like I wonder if you could cold spray it on something or a surface.
Ooh. That'd be pretty cool. I'm
Yeah.
trying to fix this view, man.
There's
Yeah, man, we're
another
running
one with
3 hours and 13 minutes. This is great.
and there's still lots to cover.
Still lots to cover, guys.
Yeah. So, and this is another method with double the process here. Like if you look, like I saw, I'm pretty sure there was a patent around here where you could literally make a small, tiny one out of this process. Oh yeah, you don't want to go through the wood scrubber. That's a lot of work. Um, yeah, I think I remember seeing one where there was like it was literally like really small units, and you could make like a whole bunch of little tabletop units that do this with induction coils and shit, right? Like you have metal in here, powder.
You can absolutely do induction to a liquid state with just about 1,000 watts, which you can fit on top of your kitchen counter.
Yeah, so like that's pretty much what they were getting at, and these were old patents too, like 80s, so they're not going to be violating any patent laws, and they just use the exact same type of process.
Get
And it's
yourself a little
tiny.
ceramic crucible and a 1,000-watt induction heater and some very nice oven insulation. Fill it with the correct metal samples and have a small valve on the bottom that pressurizes the crucible and pushes it out of the bottom at high velocity. Then whatever it hits, as long as it's cooled fast enough, you get your metallic glass. However, building the whole thing, a lot harder than I just described. Actually, liquefying any kind of metal and making it flow consistently under high pressure is a rather difficult process. But if you have sacrificable molds, then it should be possible to make a small tabletop unit.
Yeah, look, like there's a tabletop unit. There's a bolt, right? And little jets coming down where they spray the water and as it hits down here.
I really don't get the Zoom software either. Like I'm trying to put you on full screen and get rid of me and Jeremiah, like to go back to speaker view, and like it won't do it. Like it's just
there should be like 3 dots at the corner that says pin this window or something like that. Yeah, next to mute, you see up at the top right corner in his window.
Yeah.
Click on those 3 little dots. No, go back. No, go back over Zoom. Put your mouse over his window, over Sean's window. Put your mouse over Sean's screen. There you go. Those little dots, and pin. There should be a, where is it? Oh, I don't see it. Spotlight for everyone. There you go.
Oh, I got to go remove pin.
No, right there. Go back there. It said spotlight for everyone. I believe Spotlight puts it in the foreground.
So then hold up, remove pin, and then remove pin.
Oh, they were all pinned? Way to go, Zoom. That makes a lot of sense.
I just don't get that's how to pin. There we go. It's pinning and unpinning that I didn't get. There we go. Sorry about that, live audience. I mean, and replay audience.
Yeah, so these are just the ambiguous powders and stuff like that. Amorphous powders, I mean.
I know. I should go put my lab coat on. I feel out of place now that I'm just wearing my NASA shirt.
Yeah, there's a lot of spin metal stuff in here. Like they make it look pretty easy, this process.
It's simple but complicated. You do have to cool the metal stupidly fast.
Right. There's some science to it that's not like fully explained here, like the feed rates and everything, right? Do we know?
If you see that video of theirs, that wheel is really, really moving. Like for a wheel large, it's spinning pretty fast.
Yeah, it's pretty spinning really fast. Maybe we could maybe try this. It would be super hard. I mean, if they're charging enough for that stuff, if we could make it. But the thing is, all right. So the liquid metal guys, I was showing you guys that stuff too, right? Liquid metal, right? So let me go show off some liquid metal stuff.
Oh, I might as well share that little bit while you're getting that ready too.
No, I've got it up on here already. So if you go to liquidmetal.com, you can talk to their sales component and get some samples of the stuff. They have where's the free design guide and more? Yeah, here we go. So I can download that design guide. All right, so it won't give you the design guide readily. Okay. You have to sign up. They want you to sign up for it. So they want to get a hold of your information and stuff, apparently through that. So why don't you go ahead and get that? I was showing the design guide at the beginning of the earlier in this video, anyways, and talking about that liquid metal stuff. But you guys should go check that out too, because it's another type of injection molding, and they have a video. I actually have some more videos somewhere. I should send those. I'm gonna put those. We'll make a thing on a folder on metallic glass on the database. So I'm gonna start filling it out with a whole bunch of stuff too, because I got to get back to Wendelin about the stuff that she sent me as well. So,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, definitely. I'll put that on the. I'm gonna put that on my board right now.
Nope. So I was gonna show the perforated metal. Remember we were talking about that, like how you said like some of these guys were talking about like the metal you could literally blow through,
Yes.
and the quenching disc.
I need a whole website guy to start putting all this information and these links and stuff and just archive. Like we could be, if we had writers, we could be writing whole articles about all this stuff individually. There's so much stuff going on. It's just like I don't have time to like. I'm just like screaming at all these people like you should be following this, and they're just like Debrief Media. I've been slamming that guy MJ Benias because he like works for this Debrief Media people, and he puts out this. He's working for Vice and all these big companies, and he's their UFO guy, and he's just a freaking idiot. And I'm like, dude, cover all this, cover all that, and he's like, Batman balloons, F-18s, you know, like that's what he's doing articles on. And I'm just like, you. Like fire this guy and hire me, dude. I could get a team of writers and just give them like, dude, this.
Dude, I was dying. You released that information about the friggin' Batman balloon, and then here's this other article that's running simultaneously talking about a flying craft. Man, they're just not getting it.
Yeah.
Like stuck in the past because it's entertaining, but miseducating the public, unfortunately.
I swear they put these guys in for like they needed like disinfo guys to put in these key positions, and like these are them. Like get rid of them.
You gotta wonder if they're really disinfo or if they're just stupid.
They might just be. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder. You're right.
They get the dumb ones and put them in the best spots.
It does seem like that's a trend these days, doesn't it?
It does. Anyway, so here's the quenching disc. All right, and so what's happening is he has a perforated disc here, and he's running HHO, which is highly explosive, and he doesn't want the system to backfire, so he puts these quenching discs, which is just perforated metal. I believe he called it a composite, isn't it? I believe that's the technical term for it.
Yeah, it's a bunch of small little pieces of metal that are pressed together with gaps between them, and then fused either at high temperature or at high current, and you end up with one big chunk of metal. So the way that one's made is a little different, but what Jeremy is talking about with this like spongy metal, where it's actually sort of formed on the surface of something and it develops.
You're talking about grain boundaries or like gaps in the actual gaps in the metal with like.
Yeah, like what that kind of disc there are several ways of making a material like that, and the most conventional ones that we see are for pressure leak valves, where they're made of fine little brass spheres, and then those are fused together at high temperature, leaving gaps between them so air can flow through. But if any flame tries to flow back in, it will be cooled off by the high surface area of the brass spheres, and it won't be able to get through after it loses all of its thermal energy. So basically, it acts as a flame stop, just like this is doing.
Yeah, and as we've seen off of like the Hacksmith, you can make like a plasma blade, like they call it lightsaber, but you could get that same type of plasma seeding effect off a surface of the skin of the craft if you deployed your fuel in that manner, and that's why I believe it's perforated, was so that you could literally have your tanks cooling the skin of the craft as it's ejecting fuel out of the outside of the craft, and it hits the plasma field and fuels it.
Yeah, that's one way to add some thermal energy if you need a higher coupling coefficient or you want really strong acceleration.
And it could also add potassium to add to seed it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another option.
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea, and it would work.
And it would certainly explain why these UFOs go in water all the time, and they're so attracted to water. They're using it for fuel.
Oh yeah, because the whole system would literally turn into a giant fuel cell. An efficient one of that. Yeah, that was just Stan Meyer stuff I was tooting around in and going through some of these old patents. Like this is from 1922. That's electrolysis type of effect here. Working off a generator, dark current, and da 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 da. As everyone knows how it works. Anyways, yeah, and what is it? Where's that one? I believe it's here. No, not the one I'm looking for.
Yeah, HHO gas might be one of the only things that you could readily make that does get hot enough for diamond forging.
Yeah, and it's what Mirabeau decided he wanted to use. He wanted to be able to extract water from clouds and stuff and gather it as a fuel and just keep the craft in the air.
Brown's gas is interesting too because there are two forms. There are two different types of gas that you can make in some of these electrolyzers. There's HHO, which is just the output of a normal electrolyzer, hydrogen and oxygen mixed in their own dipolar molecules. So that's the normal stuff. Then you have Brown's gas, which is a little different. Brown's gas is a chain of highly ionized atoms in a ring formation. And
EVs, yeah, electropalladium.
Yeah, they are
exotic vacuum oxides, yeah.
And they can store a heck of a lot more energy than you might expect because they have such an absence of electrons and they sort of share them between each other. So when they go grabbing for electrons, they're very, very hungry and they can create a huge amount of kinetic heat almost instantly upon touching the surface and react with it, with the thermal energy that's already there. So basically the flame is cold. The flame is 200 to 300 degrees, which it's not cold, but you can put your hand in front of it and it won't burn you. But you put some metal there or some ceramic there, and it starts, this Brown's gas will break down, the chains will break, and it will rip electrons right out of that material, causing instantaneous heating. And it's really crazy. You can get over 10,000 degrees in a Brown's gas flame.
Wow.
Which is way hot enough for diamond forging.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I would want to use for diamond forging.
There's a lot of other diamond technologies, too. You see those printable diamonds and stuff?
What?
You ever heard of the printable diamond?
No, man. You printable diamond or craft.
Oh, God. They 3D print diamond now. Let me find the friggin' article on it.
Wow.
Well, that's fascinating. Well, they must use graphite.
It's no, it's this other polyhydrodite like carbide crystal or something.
So they're creating carbon glass. Okay, I know what you're talking about. That those patents, they made us what do you call it? A method of doing that with it's like cold spraying, but they use fuel in it as well. So it's not really cold spray, but it looks very similar to it. But yeah, anyway, so here's a patent from Stanley Meyer. Is his first one. A lot of people don't really know how it works. It's electrical particle generator, and what he does is he creates he gets argon in the chamber. He before it goes in the chamber, he uses the capacitors to charge it, and then he sucks the electrons out with another ring electrode. A positive one, and it sucks out the electrons, so it's starving now. And then he zaps iron, nickel, cobalt pins, and in a chamber where the gas goes in, and they covalently bond, and then it goes through a magnetic tube, and is then magnetic coil that realigns the gas molecules so they're straight again. And stable, and then he puts it into this tube here. And this tube here accelerates the gas around inside using just a magnetohydrodynamic pump, and the energy you put in, you get a more amplified signal out. And of course, this is a non-conducting tube.
So basically what you guys are looking at here, if it's not clear, he has these really heavy ions that are made of several different metals combined with an inert gas, which should be impossible, but he has a method for doing it. And this system can actually use these ions by clustering them together like a klystron and form a conventional magnetic transformer because each of these ions has a magnetic field around it, and they'd stay generally aligned. So by sending them in big groups through these coils, you can shift charge with a gas flowing in a non-magnetic core instead of a flux flowing in a magnetic core. It's a really wild transformer idea. Never built one, but what a fascinating concept.
Yeah. So here's the pins that I was explaining. The pins that were releasing the ions, and his water fuel cell explains how they starve the gas. Actually, I'll go to a newer one. I'll show it to you real quick here.
The Stanley Meyer stuff. This is great.
Yeah, I know.
This is awesome.
All right, so shit. So I don't know if this is going to show it or not.
Unfortunately,
All right.
guys, I think I'm gonna have to get off the call here pretty shortly.
Yeah, I do too eventually, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not in here, but anyways, he's literally they run. Actually, I know it's in here somewhere. Fuck. Okay, there it is. So he runs the gas through this tube here, and there's a positive electrode over here. And when he hits it with the capacitance, it charges it, pushes the electron orbits out, and then this you have the positive electrode here, and it sucks the electrons out, and then it goes into that other gas chamber I showed you with the pins. It goes through there. I gotta go back to it. So it goes through these pins. Oh shit, where did it go again? Yeah, it goes. So the gas goes into this chamber after it's starved. It's ionized. These ionized particles couple to the gas. And then when it goes through this magnetic field, it charges and straightens the particles out as they flow through. So he uses argon because it's an electromagnetic shunt, and it's also a lubricant. So that's why he uses that.
Jeez. Lubricates his shunt.
So yeah, it lubricates, and it acts as electromagnetic shunt, and it goes through the tubes, and of course you charge up your coil and whatnot. But that's how that worked, and he was doing the same type of concept with his HHO gas. He was extracting electricity from that as well instead of using that form.
The only trouble with it is it's incredibly complicated to build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Damn. Well, anyone has one already built, please bring it to our lab so we can fuck with it and do a video on it. That would be cool. The Alien Scientist at protonmail.com.
Yeah, he has a different this is what he was using an electrical particle generator for, and he wanted to charge the fuel cells. That's pretty wild. That's just one of his old fuel cells that he was creating for distilling water.
Jay
And
Decker just mentioned Brilliant Light Power in the comments is doing high voltage arc across water, instantaneous hydrolysis, and detonation. They have several power reactors.
Well, there you go. High voltage.
I gotta check out this Brilliant Light Power. That sounds brilliant.
Amazing.
I have to take a look. Let me get that into a new tab and see what we're looking at here.
Yeah, we have tons and tons and tons of stuff to cover, and I haven't even got to the real meat and potatoes. I haven't even put that on yet, and this stuff, the electric spacecraft journals.
Oh man.
All right, so let's hit the live chat. I just want to give a shout out to Greg Chase and thank you for coming by. Tim Rowe should try to stay focused on a few things instead of everything all at once. Yeah, I agree, but there's a lot of connections too, so it's good to cover a lot of stuff and then try to make the connections and then bring it back. Although it's where are we going with all this would be a good thing is to wrap it up and kind of give a direction to where we're at and where we're going with all this. Is a lot of analysis, a lot of connection making, a lot of seeing how these looking through this declassified material and just looking at how the technology has progressed through the ages. Tracing that back, I mean, there's history books that are going to be written on all this stuff. It's like this took many lifetimes of like me and quite a few other people of our research to dig all this stuff up. Sean spent an enormous amount of time.
Yeah,
gathering
like
the
over 8
documents.
years.
Yeah, and this is like I guys like him reached out to me, and we were all like combining forces and digging, and this is only the beginning. Like as this stuff all comes out of the woodwork, this stuff that's really hard to find. It was just suppressed for years, so it's classified stuff that's now declassified. It's old now, and should be public knowledge, but it's not because it's just not well known and talked about. And meanwhile, mainstream ufology is like talking about disclosure and it being in all these other places, and it's like most of it's already happened. It's just really up to us to like try to dig through it and understand what actually happened in the past, because there were some really smart people that figured out a lot of stuff before us, and the more we research this and figure out their research, the more we're going to get ideas of what they were working on when, what they had when, what kind of things they could have built, and then it gets to what did they build. That's what I want to know next is, this is what I think is the next step, but this has to come first because
Yeah,
I don't know.
This spaceship journal or spaceship journal. I can't believe I'm calling it that.
Electric
That's-
spacecraft.
Spacecraft journal. Yeah, electric spacecraft journal. It has everything. It's just fascinating. Like this is a Searle machine. Like he's talking about that, and they're really nice drawings. Like
Yeah, this was back in the 50s and 60s when they were researching this stuff, and then Searle's back around now. He's been one of those guys trying to like sell his idea for quite a while. But it is interesting how that you rotate a magnet and you get this almost like that quantum locking effect. So there is something to be said about rotating magnetic fields. And
At Jay Decker, he just mentioned, he says, sorry, it's a high current arc, not a high voltage, and there's almost no distance between the electrodes.
but
So
again,
interesting on that, I actually built a device. It's a staff about 3.5 feet long, roughly. It has a set of 12 capacitors lining the inside. Each of them is 450 volts, and I think they're 800 microfarads apiece. So they're all charged up in series, and they discharge through a mechanical contactor into a single tungsten electrode that's from the inside of a TIG machine over to the case of a water-containing vessel that's only about 1/4 inch wide. So the distance between the tungsten electrode and the inside wall is pretty small. It's about maybe 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters, and it fits about 4 drops of water. Now, on the front of that thing, in this little chamber that's approximately, I want to guess, it probably holds maybe about 0.2 to 0.3 cc's of water at max, even with the tube filled. You place a small pellet or a BB in the front of this tube that's about 2 inches long, and when it discharges the caps into this tiny volume of water, it instantly turns into a plasma gas. And we've gotten about 280 feet per second out of those little BBs in a 2-inch long tube from this small water detonation. So it definitely has quite a bit of force, and we were surprised by just how much force it had. And that's just something you can pick up and aim, battery powered. So pretty neat stuff.
so I'm showing a video on my screen right now of of two material. They make this liquid that has the same refractive index as glass, and they pour it into a cup with a glass container on it, and it makes the glass disappear inside the container. It turns it invisible, but it's still there. So I wanted to show this because these are optical properties on a level of super clarity, where this is optical vision, where you're what you're looking at through this camera lens is not distorted at all. And This is what I mean when I'm talking about materials, the material science, and the level that we're going to need to get to warp space time and to actually turn, to do all these weird alien things. It's going to be a lot to do with understanding refractive index of materials and how.
Yeah, and more so, not thinking about it in terms of light, but thinking about it in terms of radio fields when we're talking metals and things like that, which are not optically clear. A lot of people forget that those materials are lenses too, just like they would be for light, but they are for light at different frequencies, for some cases lower frequencies, or in some cases even higher frequencies. And so, yeah, every material can effectively be a lens or a mirror. And certain ones, like what Jeremy's pulling up here, phase conjugate mirrors are very specific materials with a particular crystal lattice, and they can build up energy to a pretty high degree.
Even atmosphere.
Yeah, it's interesting how that video that we showed before about how these things go into resonance with imaging, and I think that this way of manipulating the electromagnetic field is going to be how we're going to do it with the warp drives. This is how the UFOs do it with their, how they blink
Resonance,
with this. They have these skin coatings, I believe, that can trap certain types of light close to the thing and keep it resonating in the field, so you can build up a massive amount of energy on the surface of these craft using this light. And when you start building this energy up, you create these non-linearities. So nonlinear optical materials, I think, are of quite interesting field of study. I think it's related to what nonlinear optics, right? So
did you realize that John Quincy Sinclair's magnetic vortex wormhole generator uses a nonlinear type of metal as its transformer core, specifically to capitalize on its nonlinear properties?
Oh, this is where we can transition into that now, huh?
I told you I was going to stick that on you.
All right. Well, you're sticking around then. You're not.
Just for a little bit, man. Just for a little bit, because I do want to talk about that one, mainly on the account of building it.
Let's do it.
Just that one. I don't care about I don't care about his flying triangle.
I'm not against it, man. We're on patents. This is patent night, man. You got the floor.
Not going on to all his weird esoteric crap, but I do want to talk about that one particular patent because it basically contains an instruction manual on how to build it.
And then people want to hear about the pay-us patents and stuff, and I'd almost like to, see if we can get someone else.
Well, I know a little bit about pay-us patents.
We can go a little bit into that. I know a little bit too. We'll see how much we know and how much the audience knows, and then we'll, because really there's not a lot there's still a lot of questions about that, and he hasn't talked, and I don't know, I think we've reached out to him through the channels, but he hasn't yet responded or gotten back on this, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and that's probably because of this.
Oh yeah, and channels much larger than this one have also tried to reach out to him and get in contact with him. He's had a lot of opportunities to say something publicly, but has so far responded to nobody, as far as I know.
Yeah, this is the only patent I'm really concerned about, and the skin one, but his fusion patent.
Hey man, Grandmaster, just tone it down, dude. Just like it's okay if you're being funny, but if you're just being drunk and belligerent, I'm gonna ban you from the chat. And I don't like to do that, man. I just unbanned everyone and we have moderators too out there. So, but anyways, continue.
The Salvador Pais fusion patent is just a giant ball of.
I thought we were talking about Sinclair. Let's go over that more.
Oh, Sinclair.
Where's Jeremiah?
I don't think I have a folder on Sinclair.
Yeah, Sean wouldn't say it would be in. It would be in there because Jeremy uploaded my whole database onto that folder, so it is.
I know. If I had my way, though, it wouldn't be there.
That's because I haven't got you sold on it yet, Sean, because you haven't tried to build this stuff. But when you see just how clear he's talking about it, I mean, like I said, $500. $500.
That Sinclair shit appeared, dude. It was really weird how that dropped on this one channel, and then Third Phase of the Moon picked it up, and it went straight to Secure Team 10 and out to 10 million young idiot people. Just his massive channel and following. I'm not gonna call them idiots, but the people that are just not educated on UFOs that are just getting into this stuff.
There's your Illuminati wormhole generator.
Dude, why do you hate this thing so much, Sean? I mean, come on. Why do you hate this so much? What is so terrible about this thing that you just can't...
I just read his patents and I'm like, how could that work?
He explains it right there. Okay, so scroll down where you see the coil inside the coil. In fact, I have another one for you to pull up, and it's
Which one?
it's going to show a better picture of that thing because he uses the same device in multiple patents. So just to kind of show people what it looks like when it's in its raw form, it's called Water Energy Generator. And I have a patent number for you too, if that will help.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, you also getting did you get patents on? I want to try to get the patents and more technical information on those laser etchings, the type of the different types of skin coatings and stuff. Because I want to talk about that a little bit more with.
Yeah,
in a
I'll need
second.
to
I'm
get
gonna
more. I need to get some more of your documents on that so I can actually go digging for it, and then I'll find the patent. Because I got to get their names, and I got to figure out who actually made the patent, right?
So this says that, yeah, the nonlinearity is typically observed only at very high light intensities, right? So when you get these crystals pumped up with a ton of light, right, as those provided by lasers. So, so above the Schwinger limit, the vacuum itself is expected to become nonlinear, and in nonlinear optics, the superposition principle no longer holds. What's the superposition principle? Superposition principle is also known as the superposition property, and it states that for all linear systems, the net response caused by two or more stimuli is the sum of the response that would have been caused by each stimulus individually. So that if input A produces X response, then input B response produces Y response, then A plus B equals X plus Y. Function. All right, so let me just get this a little bit more.
Anyways, you have your Sinclair thing.
I sent you the file there. Water Energy Generator. I sent it to you on Skype.
Escape. Okay.
This is just to kind of show people a picture of what this whole device looks like when you can see the coils clearly. Oh, wow, you're still loading quite a lot, hey?
Yeah.
It's talking about the way things move, whether it's they roll or they translate.
There it is.
That was hilarious.
That's interesting. All right, so
He's pulling it up. He's pulling it up finally.
There,
And just scroll down to where you see the 2-coil loop. Just keep on going down. At least kind of show a
so
picture
again,
of that.
I got to. We have to exploit the fact that atoms are building blocks, that they have these properties that can be exploited, and one of these properties is entanglement, and that's all entanglement is getting things in time with each other, and the way to do that is with getting them resonating at the same with light. Light is a perfect way to get things entangled. In fact, the first condensed light, we created condensed light in 1985, 10 years before we created condensed matter. So it's easier to create. We can do it. Also, they're talking about these laser etchings of these metal surfaces. So you can use a lot of different types of metals, but you laser etch it with these special laser etchings, and they can trap different frequencies of light using that. And I thought that's super interesting as well.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah, so I built that already. I built that out of silicon iron laminations and did a series of impulse tests on it, and it does generate the dual spike field that he talks about there. He shows the waveforms exactly what that field looks like. Okay, so now that we kind of see what this thing looks like, if we go back to that other patent, the magnetic vortex wormhole generator, and you scroll down, you're going to see a particular curve. So keep on scrolling until you see a waveform, a graph of a waveform. So that's the first you're looking at, called 2 negative mass spikes. And if you keep on scrolling down, you'll see what the electrical BH curve looks like and exactly how it works. See, okay, that graph right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the graph of the nonlinear properties of the material that he uses. He looked at magnetics ink materials. They have a special magnetic transformer lamination material that comes in very, very thin laminations that are coated. And this material, it saturates up to a certain point, And when you bring it above a certain level of flux, all of a sudden it just like it loses its shit and it spikes, and you get this huge release of a magnetic field externally, and then it hits a higher magnetic flux and it stabilizes there. But when you try to bring it back down, it doesn't come back down to the same rate that it comes back up. So it generates again a delay as you're reducing the flux to a point below where it was before, and then it suddenly drops. And again, as it drops and expels its extra flux to drop to its lower energy state, it releases in a magnetic field. And so both the inside ring and the outside ring are positioned in such a way that the inside ring being 1/3 the diameter of the outside ring, these two are hooked up in series. So when they produce magnetic B fields that are in opposing directions, those fields cross each other at two different points. One crosses from the outside.
What's B and what's H in this diagram, just so I know? H is the electric field and B is the magnetic field, or is H?
Well, the BH curve, it's the saturation. You have your H field is like your summated field of the entire core, and your B field is like your flowing field within the core.
Yep.
So you have a different response between those two fields at different levels of saturation. So this is just showing you the nonlinear properties. Why he's doing this, why he's using this material in particular, is because he can send a normal sine wave into this circuit and oscillate it, and the sine wave through each step of the circuit becomes a sharper and sharper spike. And at some point, by the time it finally reaches these dual toroidally wound opposing magnetic field coils, the spike has become so high in amplitude and so short in time that its intensity is very, very high. And so when the two fields cross each other in the center ring and the space between the two rings, right there at the axes in the center, those two fields cancel out. You know, remember that old question we've always asked: what happens to two photons in free space that cross each other and destructively interfere? You know, their energy doesn't go away; they pass out the other side. So the same thing with magnetic fields. What happens to the energy stored in a moving magnetic field, which is, just a photon viewed from a different angle? It's moving electric or magnetic field has the same exact question. If you cancel out those two fields, but they still exist and they contain energy, what happens to the physical space where the energy is basically canceled out? And that's what he attempts to answer in this patent. He says you build this with these particular nonlinear materials, you ramp them up to get these high impulse spikes, and what you end up doing is warping space-time effectively, he doesn't say warp space-time. He says what you do is you change the space-time curl vector, which is
that's super interesting, because this is I want to transition from that into to promote the Old Scientist's new video, which I'm going to post now in the live chat down below for people to go and check out for some interesting stuff. So he talks about this thesis on scalar networks, and basically about you doing exactly what you're saying about causing this destructive interference across a network, and the destructive then out of the destructive interference that you can basically you quiet down all the vacuum energy and all the vacuum noise in this one location, and then you can you quiet all the vacuum energy noise around your craft, and you create a vacuum and this other bubble somewhere else. It might be possible to do quantum teleportation, so they've done quantum teleportation with individual atoms, right? And then they just did it with a bunch of groups of atoms by entangling those atoms together, right? And then teleporting them. So we're getting closer, and then we're increasing the distances now that we can teleport things. So it's only a matter of time before we can really understand and figure out the science of teleportation. And this is some really crazy Star Trek shit.
I heard the real crazy, I would call it speculation, but these guys were talking about how, like, in Canada there was a couple guys in the lab, and they were making an ashtray and teleporting it from one spot to another, and this was in the 50s.
What?
Yeah.
This I'd like to know more about.
Yeah, I know, and they're claiming that the Canadian military had this kind of technology.
It sounds like counterintelligence to throw the Russians off, but
I think so.
That's the kind of that's what you have to be worried. That's what I thought when I saw the PACE patents. That was my first guess when I first saw those.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way this one dude patented these, a patent in nuclear physics, a fusion generator, and in condensed matter physics, this piezoelectric superconductor crystal thing. There's no way. I just didn't. I couldn't fathom that this one guy could cross discipline like that. It seemed like either it was either counterintelligence to throw the the Russians off, or the Chinese and the Iranians off to what they're doing with that, or if it was Yeah, I was also thinking it could be what was
I'll
I
be right
saying?
back.
It could be espionage, like they did the Navy did a bunch of found a bunch of ideas through scooping different people's research and wanted to patent them all and gave them to this guy to do it. But anyways, that was it's interesting. That's the Pays patents and stuff. But there's a lot more interesting patents in our archive than that. Everyone focuses on Pays and like, oh, have you heard of Pays? And it's like, dude, like the guy hasn't talked and no one's. The piezoelectric thing is cool, and we'll get into that. But it's again, there's easier ways to do that. Like I said, with quieting vacuum noise and these superconductors, and there's much more technology involved in that with the quantum stuff. And I want to get talking to more people from like University of Rochester and more of these quantum physicists to get more involved in that. But yeah, can we wrap this up kind of soon? And
Yeah, I gotta go to bed anyways. So
yeah, let's save some stuff for another night. We're approaching 4 hours now, and I don't want to really scare people off when they see this channel. They're like, "Oh my god, I don't have 4 hours." But then when you sit through it, and you're like, "Oh my god,
best 4 hours
best
ever."
4 hours ever. This is the real deal. Holy shit!
Does this actually exist? This is on paper.
This is no.
Patented?
Like what? Yeah, like I sit through hours of watching David Wilcox talk about people like you, and now I found you.
Well, you see, the legal by patenting it, you legalize the technology, right? And that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. And so there's obviously going to be bylaws preventing certain technology to go forward, but
Right, of course, and preventing all the alien technology from reaching the public. It's the same laws. The same laws could go both ways. So, where does it end? When's the next live stream? I'm gonna try and do one. We're gonna do one Wednesday. I'm gonna do one Wednesday night. I'm gonna try and do a Wednesday night around the same time, 6-7 p.m. And then I'm gonna do one on the 15th. Friday is the big one on Bob Lazar. I got a whole bunch of expert panel on Bob Lazar. We're just gonna kill that case. I'm sorry, it's the last thing I'm gonna do on it, and we're just gonna do it like fact by fact and hold a panel on it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I gotta run.